Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Brewer from the pocket, fires for the end zone. Touchdown, Mims, his second. And Baylor is pouring it on against OU.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Deep hand off to Berry. 35, breaks through 30. Berry outside of the 20, cuts inside of the 15, outside of the 10. Berry, this is the third 5, and touchdown!
Have you downloaded the Sikkim 365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go on Sikkim 365 Radio as we head into the end of the week. Today, one of the Mount Rushmores that you would put up, and I know that that's an easy go-to topic, but one of the Mount Rushmores you would think when it comes to Baylor Athletics or Baylor University would be Michael Johnson. He joins us in 15 minutes. Earlier today, Robert Griffin III, another one of those that would be a part of that discussion, was on with us on Tuesday. So that's today. Michael Johnson, plus we have Mickey Spagnola, Max Olson on all what's going on with college football. And then Ashley Hodge will join us because Baylor men's basketball yet again. Craig's the one that kind of gave this the alert. And, of course, then the alert comes down on Sikkim 365 on our phones that they got another commitment today. Big kid, like almost like a power forward type, physical type body. And Jeremy Soken. And he will, Ashley Hodge knows a lot about him. He'll join us today at 5 o'clock. But let's get to some straight stuff. Craig Smoke here, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoke. The Big 12 media preseason football team, I voted. Baylor has one player, Terrell Bernard. That's it.
Yeah, I voted. Craig, did you vote in this thing?
No, I never turned it in.
Yeah, I voted in this. And it's been a few weeks since I turned it in.
Yeah, it's been about, well, plus, it's been a little while. This Monday and Tuesday are supposed to be media day, and then it was going to be virtual. And now that's, of course, after we left yesterday, that came down. That's been pushed back to the first week in August. Oh, by the way, we will have Dave Aranda next Tuesday, Baylor football coach. The media days not being pushed back does not affect us with Coach Aranda. He'll join us in the early hour on Tuesday. Who else could have been, in your opinion, a first team selection? Because Kansas has two. Puka Williams, who's a given. Andrew Parchment, who's a wide receiver. They have two. Texas, Oklahoma, of course, 5. Sam Ehlinger, quarterback. Who else could have been a first team preseason all Big 12 selection for Baylor? Tyquan Thornton?
Yeah, I think you can make an argument for Tyquan Thornton.
Charleston Rambo and Tylan Wallace, I see those two. And then Andrew Parchment, I don't know much about him. He's a big kid, 6'2", 180, but obviously pretty good. I would have had Tyquan Thornton. I believe I would have had Tyquan Thornton and I have my first team. I'll have to look at it. Craig, anybody else that you could say? Because they have, the running back split a lot of time. The offensive line, with Connor Galvin, I don't know. He didn't play a lot last year, on and off.
He played a good deal. He was hurt. Yeah, he missed some time. But when he played, he was very impactful for them and was certainly one of their better, if not the best offensive linemen they had. Maybe you could say Xavier Newman was. But, I don't know that I could take Galvin over. Creed Humphrey's automatic. Adrian Ely's automatic. Samuel Cosme, automatic. Jack Anderson, who, man, I remember that kid just bashing the mess out of Baylor during his recruitment. He begged for a Baylor offer, and then he got it, and then he totally turned into who he really was and started bashing them. It was kind of ridiculous, but he was hurt last year, so that's all off reputation. So, maybe he could fit in one of those spots, but, I think it's fine the way that it is. My only one would really be Tyquan Thornton. I don't think anybody on defense has much of an argument. Because
we don't know yet, although, we'll see what Raleigh Tejada does or with others, what the young man from Arkansas State might do. But that's again, he would be a part of Defensive Newcomer of the Year. Spencer Rattler, the Oklahoma quarterback, is the Newcomer of the Year. Chuba Hubbard and Darius Stills. Those are the two I picked for Offense and Defensive Player of the Year. There's a couple in here. The special teams, for example, Burchick from Oklahoma and also McNamara, those are returning players who were honored a year ago. So that's also,
I mean, with this thing here, like this, if I would have just I had like 3 spots on my list, and I just never returned to it because there was so much uncertainty about media days, and I was just like, whatever. But I mean, Charlie Kohler was basically the only person anybody could vote for at tight end. I mean, that was automatic. Like every single one of these was basically automatic, in my opinion. But I mean, I guess there's some spots that you could argue. But again, without spring practices, without really any sort of idea, I think everybody probably just did the same thing. They went back and looked at last year's postseason awards. Who's coming back this year? Who played last year that's coming back this year that was close to it? And that's kind of how you filled it out, which is, is fine. That's the only way to do it. But I do think the lack of spring kind of made this a lot more vanilla than normal.
Yeah, I think so. And I think people did that. I think it's almost what you have to do because you don't get to have this kind of buzz in spring of like, okay, this is who's taking the charge of this role. And, that there's maybe a couple of these guys on this team not really going to do much this year.
We don't know.
I mean,
there's always going to be. It's amazing. No matter what year they had last year, we said this before. Why would Charlie Brewer not be a first-team quarterback? If he played for Texas, he would be. Mm-hmm. Ellinger's very important. Believe me, he could be a guy that's at the end of the year, the player of the year in the Big 12, if his team ever does more than what it's done, because he's really good. We know that. But really, Charlie Brewer had just as good a year, maybe not the stats completely.
And to me, there's only 3 guys in the whole Big 12 that you could give this to, and it's Sam, Charlie, and Brock Purdy, because those are the guys who have enough pelts on the wall to be like, that's a guy who could be the best quarterback in the league.
So that's that. Tyquan Thornton is on the watch list, the Blitnikoff Award. I'm a proud member, a voter of that. So is Cindy on the Blitnikoff Award. And so Tyquan Thornton does get on that preseason watch list. Meanwhile, media days, as I mentioned, has been pushed back now to Monday, August the 3rd, which you would think that may be a sign, because August, like the 7th and 8th, are the days you're supposed to start working out.
Yeah.
So that could be something there. Now, Jeremy Sokan, he's 6'8", 225. He played high school ball in Indiana. But he now lives, is that right? He's going to be playing in Germany?
He lives in England right now. But he's
he left during, or I guess at the beginning of COVID, played his final year of high school in Germany. Will play his final year of high school in Germany. Just another big 4-star, again.
And played
after having Langston Love yesterday.
And played international ball, and that's a great proving ground for guys.
I did reach out to Fran Fraschilla because he's international ball IQ 100%, but I have not heard back from him. Hell, knowing him, he might be over there. I don't know, probably not. But, Craig, did you see the list of the other offers that he had as well? That's the part that always impresses me.
Yeah, no, he was definitely a coveted guy. Has great size. Back-to-back 4 stars in 24 hours is a big deal. So that's a great pickup for Scott Drew and his staff. They've been killing it. I think they're benefiting from the success last year and just benefiting from sticking to the types of players, that they like and not – getting out of control, trying to just grab stars. They're sticking to the plan, sticking to the right type of player, and I think the 2 guys they've brought in now over the last 24 hours are going to be huge for this program.
Yesterday we had Langston Love on. I told you what his father said. Ken Webb, who's Tyler Webb's father, Tyler played on occasion down in Houston with him. He said, by the way, Langston Love, he and Tyler are very close, played several seasons together all over the country. His family is amazing. You won't find a better young man anywhere on this planet. He is that special. That was from yesterday after I got off the air and we finished the show up here on Sikkim 365. There's some other college football notes to get to. The Memorial up in Ohio, a heck of a group with Tiger, McElroy, and Koepka, along with others. We'll update that at some other point. But coming up next, part of the Mount Rushmore, the elite of the elite at Baylor University, Michael Johnson, next on Sikkim 365 Radio.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
So it's time for us to have a talk because obviously your buddies aren't telling you and neither is your woman. You've been driving that truck around exposing your stuff. It's not only embarrassing, it's disgusting. I'm talking about full frontal truck nudity, and it's time for you to do something about it with a grill guard or a front-end replacement bumper from Pickup Outfitters. There are lots of good reasons to get a grill guard, like when Bambi decides to cross the road at the same time you're occupying it. But the best reason is that no one wants to see your junk up in your grill. Pickup Outfitters on Lake Erie Drive carries all the major brands of grill guards, including Ranch Hand, Cattleman, and even the Renegade brand made right here in Waco. And every grill guard we sell comes with our lifetime installation guarantee and no-worry warranty program. Won't you help us end truck nudity? Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Erie Drive in Waco. Check out our grill guards on our website at createacommotion.com/guards. createacommotion.com/guards.
Summertime means vacation time, and while this summer may be different, at Allen Samuels, you can always count on our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Brand spanking new 2020 Ram Lone Star Crew Cabs. Now 0% financing for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or choose up to $10,250 in total values. America's most loyal half-ton pickup owners are Ram owners. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels. Ask for details.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Michael Johnson is there. Mike Marsh, Jeff Williams, Carl Lewis down in lane one. Through the final meters, Michael Johnson wins it. Tight for second. 19.66. And wait for the win. And it's a new world record. The march on Atlanta has begun.
This segment on Baylor Athletics on Sikkim 365 Radio is brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac, located at the Imperial Drive exit off Loop 340 in Waco. Proud supporters of all Baylor Athletics.
Hey, tomorrow, just a heads up, Lanier Sampson, who's now coaching at UCF.
What did we just decide on him? He was the second leg?
Yeah, I don't
He
know.
was the first
Lake
leg
and
'cause he's
Robert
the
are
fast
having
starter, remember?
Yeah, but that was what Robert said. But then he and Tevin agreed
Right.
that they should switch first and third.
Yes.
So he thought he should have been third.
So we're going to need those two. If those two are getting along, but it's the RG3 Lake fight that's
Yeah.
gone. Travis McLean, who's at Salina High School, and he does a lot of coaching type videos. And he's going to join us. He was a receiver back in the day, started, I think, in 2007, came out of Weatherford. He does a lot of coaching clinics. I got that from my friend, Mr. Riley,
Man, I
who
haven't
listens
heard
to
that
the
name
show.
in a long
Travis
time.
McLean. He's got a really very easy to hear and listen to voice. I just popped on a couple of his YouTube. He goes over some things that are available to coaches during this time. Like one of the topics was, how do you install an offense if you're a first-year head coach during this time, some of the tools that are available, like Google Office. So he does some instructional stuff. He's going to join us tomorrow. And so a couple of former players, a couple of former receivers will join us tomorrow. Travis McLean, Lanier Sampson, among some others as well. We'll have Michael Johnson momentarily. Craig, you won't until Michael calls in, but you had a couple other things you wanted to bring up with the All-Big 12, at least the preseason team.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's just interesting to go over the list and kind of look at it. I mean, I know I said a few minutes ago, because I know we were short on time, in that first segment that, a lot of these were very obvious. Maybe I didn't give enough consideration to Tevin Jenkins out of Oklahoma State. I'll admit that, when it comes to the offensive line, there were about 3 guys that you could say surefire. Like, these are like Creed Humphrey, no doubt. Cosme, no doubt. But I guess there were a couple others you could jostle for. The Jack Anderson thing I mentioned, he got hurt last year, didn't play much, if at all, from what I recall. And so, I guess he makes sense, but that's a reputation pick. But if he's healthy, he probably will be one of the best offensive linemen in the Big 12. So that's fine. Kind of just looking around, TCU is going to have a pretty nasty defense this year, but they always do. But Garrett Wallow and Trevor Morrick, I think Trevor Morrick's just an absolute stud. I know that Matt Rule's staff wanted him really, really bad. And, Caden Stearns and Deshaun Jameson, that'll be interesting to see in Texas secondary this year, just how good those guys are, because now it's their time.
Yeah, and they got a lot of hype early, and then some of them weren't able to play always, and we know how good Stearns can be. Michael Johnson joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Michael, when there's a Mount Rushmore, first of all, thank you so much for being a part of the show. It means a lot to us on Sikkim 365 Radio. If there's a Mount Rushmore or a name face of 3 to 5 people in Baylor history who have made a massive impact, what would it mean if your name was a part of that?
Well, that would be amazing if that happened. Every time I go back to Waco, there's a lot more than there was when I was on campus. So is there a Mount Rushmore type of structure being built on Baylor campus?
Yeah, they've kind of stopped doing some of these things right now because of what's happened, of course, with COVID. And, they're going to build a brand new basketball-type complex arena, and there's going to be a brand new athletics administration-type building that's going to be on the Brazos River, which is at the back end of the football fields. They're going to start that. Those are a couple of the things. And then I think the university is going to have something on the entrance as well.
Yeah, Mac Rhodes, the AD, he said previously, guys, right, about having an athletics type of Hall of Fame. Yeah. That's something that they've swirled around as well.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, Michael, I as a lifelong slow person, I need to know, a slow runner, I need to know, what does it feel like to hit the speeds that you have hit in your life and break records? Because it's got to feel different than when a normal person like me runs.
It's just like anything else in sports. It doesn't matter whether it's running or whether it's, football, basketball. Once you can get yourself in the zone and where everything that you've been working on for, months, weeks, years, even in some cases, everything you've been working on all comes together and it's all just clicking, and it's all in the execution when you're in that moment. You're trying to execute the strategy. Typically you're going to have some missteps, you're going to make some mistakes in the execution. And when you hit that, when it's all just going perfectly and you're executing to perfection, it feels, it truly feels effortless, and it's amazing. It's an unbelievable feeling.
Michael, so many athletes geared up for the last 4 years for the Olympics this summer. I think everybody out there understands why there's no Olympics this summer, but just the postponement, I'm sure you've talked to a lot of people about it. Just how devastating is that for these athletes? And in some cases, how much does that hurt that they won't have the opportunity this year because that opportunity might not come again?
Yeah, I think that, as far as the athletes are concerned, I talked to many of them. We trained many of those athletes, and the biggest issue for them was when there was all of the uncertainty back in March and April, when this pandemic first hit, and there was the uncertainty as to whether there would actually be an Olympics this summer, and these athletes still needed to train because until they were told that there will not be an Olympics, they had to go on the assumption that there's going to be an Olympics in July, I'm going to have an Olympic trials in June, and I have to be ready to compete, but I can't get outside of my house, I can't go to a training center, I can't go to a track, I can't work with my coach, so that was a really difficult situation for many athletes around the globe, and fortunately we have a virtual training platform. We have a remote training platform where we can we can support them that way. And we were doing that. And we also have NFL players who are prospective NFL players who all of our combine guys got to go to the combine. We had guys that, just finished their collegiate season that was going to have their pro day at the university. And those were on hold, and we were trying to support them. So it was a mess for a lot of athletes. But the Olympic athletes, now that the games have been postponed, and they will be due to start next week, incidentally, now that they've been postponed, for athletes, when you know what you're dealing with and know that everyone else is dealing with the same set of circumstances, you just sort of go back get in the zone. And so those athletes have just gone back into their training, and obviously training has been disrupted a bit, and the schedule, but it's going to affect different athletes differently. I was just talking to an athlete just last week, Wade Van Niekerk, who's the 400-meter Olympic champion and broke my world record, by the way. I was speaking with him, and he hasn't competed in the last couple of years because of an ACL injury. He was trying to return from that, and now he has a full extra year to get ready. So for some athletes, it's actually a bit of a blessing in disguise. Obviously, some athletes, they were ready this year, and now they're going to have to try to be ready next year.
Yeah, we had Trayvon Bromell, obviously one of the great sprinters right now in the world, and he had kind of had the injury, and looking forward, he got back in time to where he thought he could be peaking by the time the summer gets here, but obviously that now gives him another year. And Michael, does it also, when it comes to track and field, especially with sprinters, is there a clock, like this father time clock, that if you're at a certain age and you miss the Olympic Games because of this, that your clock is going to be ticking?
Yeah, I mean, that depends on the athlete and their age. Of course, when athletes are, sort of the older you get, the less resilient your body is. You can't train as hard, and so there are some athletes who, are at the end of their career and felt like, 2020 will be my last year, and say I'll be 32 or 33 at that time or whatever, and I think I can squeeze one more year out. And now those athletes will have to wait another year. Another year of training, may put them over the edge where they, won't make it, and it may be a year too long for them. But those athletes have been smart also. Another year itself isn't problematic for them. It's another year of training and competition. So those athletes, many of them will have decided to forego any sort of competition this season. There are a few competitions going on, but not much. And will probably, if they're smart, they will back off training and save themselves and use this year to really ensure that they're healthy and ready to go for next year. So, it's different for every athlete depending on what your situation is. But obviously it's disruptive, to the Olympic Games, and the athletes preparing for the games. It's disruptive for athletes, in all different types of sports, and it's disruptive to all of us, in our lives. It's just what we all have to deal with.
As I do this a lot with a lot of our guests when I'm getting highlights and things for the opens and the rejoins. I watch a lot of your old stuff, and when you broke the world record at the World Championships before Atlanta, the look on your face was so ecstatic when you turned back around and looked at the clock. Do you feel like you just did something special when you did that, or was it genuinely like, oh my gosh, I really did go that fast when you break a world record?
Yeah, I mean, in different situations, the reaction is different. But for me, the first time I broke a world record was 1996 at the Olympic trials before the Olympic Games at 200 meters. And then I broke it again, after that at the Games. And each time I knew that I was in the best shape of my life. The first time I broke it, I felt like, I'm ready. I'm here to make this team. I'm here to win this race. But the day before, I ran faster than the world record in the semifinals, and the wind was just above the allowable. You're only allowed, if the wind is blowing harder than 2 meters per second, then it's not a world record. And the wind was about 2.2 that day, and I ran just under the world record. So I knew that I'd have another chance tomorrow if the wind would cooperate, and it did. And so I was obviously elated, but not surprised. A month later, in 1996, at the Games, same track in Atlanta. Now we're at the Olympic Games at 200 meters. And I knew at that point that I was going to have to run a world record out of necessity because it was going to take that type of time to win it. And in fact, it did. Obviously, I obliterated my own world record and ran 19.32. But the old world record was 19.66. And Frankie Fredericks, the silver medalist, ran faster than that. So I knew that based on the competition I was facing that day, that I was going to have to run the world record. So I went into that race with the idea that, I'm either going to run a world record and win it or I'm not, and I may not win it. So, but that particular race, of course, elated for breaking a world record, but also completing the double in the 400 meters and 200 and winning the Olympic gold medal.
Michael, it's a stupid question to ask you how special it was, those 96 games in Atlanta, but those are obviously a very special set of games because it was in America, and there was just moment after moment after moment from American athletes picking up gold medals, yourself included. But, being in the U.S. and having all that was going on with the successes, I mean, it's special, obviously, but how special was it being a part of the Atlanta Games?
Yeah, it was obviously it's very special to be in a home Olympic Games, and that comes with its own set of challenges as well. You've got an overwhelmingly pro-American crowd, so that certainly helps. But at the same time, the pressure of being at home and having that U.S. and American crowd, and at that particular game, because I was going for making history in the 200 and 400, I was sort of the face of that game, and going into it is an incredible amount of pressure. And we're used to competing, away from home. I'm used to competing every world championship, every championship and Olympic Games I competed in at that point had been, in another country. And you sort of develop your routine around that. So what we did and what Coach, did was we sat down and figured out how to develop a structure and a plan that was similar to what we were used to. So we because we didn't want to get into sort of a relaxed phase of, we're at home. What we had been doing at every championship prior to 96 had worked really well for us. So what we sought to do was to duplicate that.
Michael, to be in a sport, and even a pass now, whether it's Patrick Mahomes now or back in the day of a Joe Montana, threading the needle between a defense or a corner or a safety or whoever, it's a matter of just millimeters. But when you run the fast as you run and the events that you run, it is basically a nostril hair. What's that like mentally to know that it is almost you have to run flawless to win?
Yeah, I think it's the same. I mean, in my world now, in the world of sports and what we do in training athletes and rehabbing athletes and that sort of thing, you come across athletes in all kinds of sports, and it doesn't matter if it's sprinting or whether it's, Patrick Mahomes, in the Super Bowl, or whether it's, we train bull riders, for goodness sakes, talk about, it's life and death, trying to run away from a bull after you've fallen off of it, it's Formula One drivers and people like that. I mean, it's excellence is what you're striving for. In order to succeed, you have to execute in a way that is excellent, and you have to get consistent with that. And that starts with training. It starts with a mindset that where you wake up every day, with the idea that the most important thing I'm going to do today, of all of the things that I normally go through in my daily life, the most important thing that I'm going to do today is this training session. And going into each one of those training sessions with the mindset that this is an opportunity for me to be better prepared on, race day or on competition day. And I've got to get everything that I can out of this session. That's what it takes, and it doesn't matter what sport it is. That those are the fundamentals, and those who understand that and really understand that best are the ones who succeed.
Michael Johnson with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Paul?
Michael, with the athletes that you train now, when people are coming to your center, or when you're working with athletes, how much of it do you have to show, because obviously they think, well, this guy's naturally talented, he did this. How much do you show them what your work ethic or your pattern was? Like you talked about, it has to be that day. How much do you show them that so that they say, like, hey, if you want to get to this level, you have to see, then you have to visualize and do what I did?
Yeah, well, so our athletes, the athletes that we train, whether they be at Michael Johnson's Performance at the center in Dallas, or whether they be athletes that we support, around the world, we have clients and customers of organizations, soccer teams, football clubs, Olympic federations around the world, and we train youth athletes as well. Well, at 52 years old, I'm a little bit beyond, the example for them anymore. So, we've got, great athletes as examples that, they see in our facilities that, they'll come in and they see, today, for example, I'm in California where I live, just watching what's going on back at the center with Sean Gary from his training today. And, we've got some basketball players who are trying to get ready and for next year's NBA season. And they're watching what he does. And he is the example for them and just his work ethic. And here's a guy that doesn't even live in Dallas. He comes down to Dallas and sets up shop every NFL offseason to live there to train because this is what it's going to take for him, to be ready for the season. Those guys get to look at that. The kids that we train, they get to see that, whether it's him or whether it's, any of our professional athletes, and they see them doing what it takes. And our coaches, our staff, our sports medicine staff, also, we integrate that into the programs and helping athletes to understand that, that excellence is what it takes in order for you to be the best that you can be. And of course, any chance that I get to speak with those athletes when I'm around, I will share with them what my experiences were and try to help them understand how to get the best from themselves, just like how they get the best from myself.
Michael, when did Michael Johnson Performance become an idea in your head? Was that something that you had thought about for a really long time? And just how personally gratifying is it to see what it's grown into? I'd imagine you have to be immensely proud. And as you mentioned, you're working with sports of all kinds and athletes of all kinds and backgrounds. Just kind of where was the idea hatched, and how amazing has it been to see the way it's grown?
Yeah, it was after I finished my career, after I retired, I was always intrigued with business. That's what I studied at Baylor, and looking back on my athletic career, when I retired in 2001, I had done all of the things that I wanted to do in my career, and because of that, I was, I looked back and thought, I was able to do all the things that I wanted to do, and I was fortunate to have a great support team around me. Coach Hart, obviously leading that team, and that's the reason why, because of the support that I had, that I was able to get to where I needed to and do all the things that I wanted to do, and that's a great place to be and a great feeling to be able to look back after you've done with your career and say, I've done all of the things that I wanted to do, and I'm retiring on my own terms, and I've done all of the things that I wanted. And so the idea behind Michael Johnson Performance was to give other athletes that same opportunity to reach their full potential, do all of the things that they want to do, and not having regret. The worst thing for athletes is, feeling like you may have the talent, you may have what it takes, but never really getting to that point, never really reaching that potential because, you didn't have the right support, or you didn't have the right, medical support to overcome an injury. And so you spend the rest of your life sort of looking backwards, wondering what could have been, and you're 60 years old, still wondering if I had the right support, if I had been able to, properly, rehab from that injury, what might have been. The idea behind Michael Johnson Performance is to make sure that people, athletes at all levels, regardless of what level that is, when they're finished, whether that's, after high school or whether that's after college or if you're fortunate to make it all the way to the pros, at whatever level you stop your career, as long as you've reached your potential and that I got everything out of my talent, either it worked or it just wasn't meant to be for me, you don't have any regrets. And so that's the idea. So we've got, a full team of folks across the entire spectrum of sports training to support athletes, regardless of what their sport is. And I'm immensely proud that we've got customers, clients all around the world. We work with athletes, we work with companies, Nike, Technogen, doing product development support for those guys as well, and helping them develop better product for athletes. And it's a lot of fun.
Michael, I know that you have other things to do, your other phone's buzzing and things you have as far as a businessman. I can't imagine anything better than winning a gold medal for your country, and you won a bucket load of them. But are you as proud of what you've done, as Craig mentioned, with what you've done with your entrepreneurial side of life and also with what you've done as a businessman?
Yeah, certainly proud of the things that I've been able to do since retiring. I've been able to, I still work for BBC and have for 20 years, been an award-winning television pundit. I have a foundation that we support young people around the world that have overcome amazing challenges in their lives and show great leadership skills, and we've turned them into amazing leaders, changing, transforming their communities. And I'm doing a lot of different things. I just started a new tech digital fitness company, and we just finished our first round of fundraising and building that company, building an app there. And so, I'm doing a lot of different things since I retired and enjoy all of those things. I'm very proud of the success I've been able to have in all of those things. But, nothing, no matter what I do, probably I would imagine no matter what I do between now and the time I leave this earth, nothing's going to compare to, being an Olympic champion. I mean, that was a dream that I had as a kid, and I was fortunate to be able to get there, and it's just, and I've never tried to replace that with anything, because nothing is going to match that. It was amazing, and I'm just incredibly fortunate to have had the opportunity to do it.
With what Baylor's meant to you and what you've meant to Baylor, was that the perfect marriage when it comes to athletics and also education for you?
Yeah, I mean, I still remember I was just talking to Coach the other day, and I still remember the day that Coach came to my house in 1986 and recruited me to Baylor, and I thought for sure my entire junior year I knew I was going to Texas. I was going to be a Longhorn. I just knew that was going to be me. I knew that, and I decided to go. I liked Coach, and I decided to go on a visit. I took one of my visits. I went to Baylor, but I also took a visit to Texas, and I thought. In fact, I wasn't even going to take my visit to Texas because I'd already been to Austin enough times and had seen the campus, and I knew what it was like, and I knew I wanted to go there. And I went on my visit anyway, and it just didn't feel right. And I'd already visited Baylor, and on my way back from Texas, passing back to work, Coach stopped at the campus again, met up with Coach, and I just knew that's where I needed to be, and that turned out to be the best decision ever. And as you know, I mean, Coach was my coach throughout my entire career, and that coach-athlete relationship is so important. And it's funny, people always say to me, "Oh, you're such a great guy, being loyal to your coach, keeping him for all of these years." I wouldn't have kept him. I would have changed coaches if it didn't work and if he didn't know what he was doing. He knows. Coach just knows what he's doing, and that's evidenced by the fact that he's coached more former world record world champions and Olympic champions after me. I mean, he's just an amazing coach, and so that was absolutely the best decision. And certainly, from an academic standpoint, I was interested in business, and Hank Business School was good for me, and that was great relationship, and one of the best decisions I made.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of the show. It's a tumultuous time in America. I have watched some of what you've said with Twitter, what you've said in reactions to where we are as a country. We had Robert Griffin III on Tuesday. He's been active in what he's wanted to say. Is there something that Michael Johnson wants to share with our audience that goes from coast to coast, from north to south? Is there something you would like to say to the Baylor family about who we are today as a country?
Yeah, I think, I think that, Obviously, as you said, it's a very interesting time in our history, and I think we have the opportunity right now, given the momentum that we have around the issue of, equality and systemic racism in this country, and the conversation around that. I think that we are as a company, or as a country rather, are so polarized right now, probably more so than we've ever been, certainly in my lifetime, where people immediately, almost like a sports event, just jump on a team and sort of ride that team and support that team, and the other team is the enemy. And what that does is it makes people, it makes them not think, and not use logic, and it makes you also, lack the ability to understand and have empathy and seek to understand what's going on, and have conversations. And I'm happy to see that we have some momentum around this issue right now. I think it's important, and quite frankly, personally, for me, it's been very interesting because I'm sick and tired. I really am. I'm absolutely sick and tired of the police brutality against black men. I'm sick and tired of the inequality. I'm sick and tired of the false narratives that's out there about who we are as a country, how great we are, and all of those sorts of things for a lot of people, but not for a lot of people. Black people have continued to suffer in this country, but the statistics don't lie. And before you say, from my perspective, you have the same opportunity as I have, that's from your perspective. Seek to listen to someone else's perspective and understand their perspective before you make that judgment. So that's what I would have to say. Have the conversation, be open, and have respect during those conversations. These conversations can be had respectfully, and that's what I would like to see. But I'm happy to see the momentum we have right now, where those conversations are being had, and people are starting to be honest and true about what we need to do in this country, and I'm happy to see the change. And I hope that momentum continues and results in real significant change so that we can become what we actually say we are.
Michael, thank you very much. We appreciate you being a part of the show. Good luck with what you continue to do. Thanks for what you represent, and have a great day.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Michael Johnson, 13-time gold medal winner. Obviously dominated a couple of Olympics. Craig, you mentioned the one in Atlanta. You're right. That look when he kind of looks back and he's what was it? Well,
at the Olympic trials, the one is he looks back and it like hit him like a wave. Like, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like I just broke the world record.
Yeah.
And then the one in Atlanta, that probably was a little bit less than because he knew he could at that point. He'd done it.
That 96 games will always be my favorite games.
Mine too.
Between the women's gymnastics and Michael Johnson and just everything else. Then he had those gold shoes. He was the man. He was the man. And maybe I've heard that story before about him originally going to Texas. Has he relayed that before?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay, because he said so. I guess on the way back, he said he stopped back in Waco and visited with Clyde Hart some more, and the rest is history, I guess. But they got fortunate there because the dude is no doubt. One of the biggest alums by a long shot. So very cool to talk. I never even told young Craig Smoke back in 1996 when I was in middle school that I'd be talking to Michael Johnson. All these years later, I wouldn't have believed you, but here we are.
By the way, I didn't think about that. You were Hubbard
grade.
Middle School or Jimmy Walker. Remember we discussed him yesterday because of golf and coming back. He's 4 under through 15 today at the Memorial Tournament in Ohio. And he's just one shot out of the lead. So Jimmy Walker, former Baylor All-American, playing very well. It's been a while for him. Also, Mack Rhodes spoke with Tyler Bolden, basically reiterated everything that I told you on Monday, but there was a couple of quotes because it was from today. They had an ADs type conference. So we'll come back and I'll update you on that and a couple of other notes that I wasn't able to say on Monday that I'll say now. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pioneer Still and Pipe, family owned and operated since 1943. Customer service, main focus, great product. On top of that, makes you and allows you to be in business for 77 years. No matter what is going on in the world or around the economy. Offering metal buildings and components, metal roofing, structural pipe, from even a half-inch to up to 24-inch diameter. All types of structural steel, including beams, channel iron, flat iron, angle iron, square tubing, have a very large inventory, and if they don't have something in stock of a certain item, they will get it for you. They will help you with your project as well, even suggestions on design, provide you with a list of reliable contractors as well, because you never know. You want to make sure that experience is what you want and not a nightmare. They will offer high quality of materials, help you as well when it comes to the bidding process, at least to what you need to listen to or learn. And the fastest turnaround time in the business on metal building orders, and several cost-effective options as well when it comes to the building of a new fence or a beautiful entryway into wherever you live. It's Pioneer Steel and Pipe, #1 quality of used pipe, heavy-duty equipment product. They'll deliver it, unload it for you. 77 years, open in both Waco and Bryan, open on Saturdays if you can't get there during the week, from 8 until noon at pioneerboys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected. Get something started. Get involved. And make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal... Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace, and order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now, and Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday, pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, hot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
A Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, Monday, I mentioned there was that social media post about that Baylor and Ole Miss had decided to cancel the game. In fact, it even went as far as saying the ADs had agreed to that, and I had spoken to Mack Rhodes twice on the weekend, gave you the update that was completely not true, that, in fact, that game has not been canceled. No games had been canceled at that point. Of course, the SEC and the Big 12 can take care of that, and they're going to wait most likely to the end of this month before they make decisions. One of the other things I told you was because Houston is such a hot spot that both schools have at least what they have discussed is maybe a home and home. Tyler Bolden had an update. He talked to Mack Rhodes earlier today, and it was basically the same thing that I told you on Monday, but from through his ears or his eyes and what he was told today, because the ADs had spoken today, not Baylor and Ole Miss, but the Big 12. So one of the quotes, is there a reality of playing the game in Houston that's not been ruled out? Logic would say we have to look at other options. The other options, I'm telling you, are a home and home, either in Oxford or in Waco.
Let's go.
And so make that happen, contain it even more, and then just deal with whenever you can find a way to schedule a second game in your non-conference schedule down the road.
Yeah.
So
that would have to be kind of like a late return game. Like if they were to play in Oxford this year, then it would have to be like 2025 or something along those lines for a return game based on what Baylor's got on their schedule. And I don't know what Ole Miss has on their future schedule. So
it might be 8, 9, 10 years from now.
Yeah,
but at
that's
least,
what I mean.
Yeah. And so that's why when I responded on Friday and then also validated and reiterated on Saturday, despite the person who posted what he did, because I spoke to Mack Rhodes about it, and I mentioned that to you on Monday. But, yeah, they got to watch what's going on in Houston and whether or not that flares up and it continues to flare up, or if it ever does level off or even start to decrease, or whatever that word is, flatten the curve. But that's just the latest, because they had, in fact, discussions today. The ADs had a conference call earlier today. They did not, have not ever, the word cancel has never been brought up in any discussions whatsoever, at least up until now, nor had it up through the weekend, of Baylor and Ole Miss at all.
And that's why you can't believe everything you read on Twitter, folks. That's right there, a great example of it. Not to say that it won't still happen, but it's not in any way, shape, or form canceled right now, despite a report last week that it was. So there you go. But looking at the two schedules real quick, Baylor's earliest opening where they don't have a Power 5 opponent would be right now 2029, because they've got BYU starting next year, home and home, Utah following that, Auburn after that, and then Oregon after that. So we're getting ready to gear up and getting some fun non-conference games, man, with BYU, Utah, Auburn, and Oregon. But 2029, they have North Texas scheduled as of now, and that is it. But also Ole Miss has some games. It looks like the foreseeable future. They've got, let's see here, Louisville next year, Georgia Tech for 2 years, Wake Forest for a couple. That's whatever. Then USC. So yeah, maybe 2029.
Also, there has been, and I've seen those who cover high school football in Texas, the UIL. We mentioned this on yesterday's show, that the UIL on Monday, there's a chance they'll make an announcement about the start of fall sports, and they have been meeting with state officials. Also, we know that they've been in touch with the governor's office. I've spoken to high school coaches. What they want to do, the UIL wants to play football. They want sports to happen in the fall. Of course, that's also not completely in their control because there's the governor's office, among others. But that Monday announcement, whenever that might be, could be very interesting as workouts do resume around Texas. In fact, there have been some school districts that are making decisions that when they will start will be later than when others will start. And it's July 16th. You would think by August the 1st, everybody kind of needs to know what the landscape's going to be.
Yeah, I think so. And I'd like to see it. I think that's what's important for the UIL, because you don't want to have this thing where, Fort Bend ISD decides, well, we're not doing it, but Katy ISD says, well, we're fine. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, so what's going on? Some schools are going to play 10 games. Some schools are going to play, potentially 4. I mean, it's...
Well, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting.
Just come down from the top and let's get it figured out.
Yeah, I think, with the numbers, the way that I expected after July 4th for the numbers to go kind of wonky, just because I knew people weren't going to stay apart for the most part. There were going to be people that are going out, and there still are. So I think waiting a couple of other weeks and just to see if there's a pattern that has developed, and perhaps even a pattern of it, perhaps, going down numbers-wise, or maybe we're closer to some sort of a breakthrough. There's no harm in waiting 2 more weeks, if not 3 more weeks to figure out exactly what you want to do. The season doesn't start till the end of August, so by the beginning of August, you'd like to have a great idea, and you'll need to have one, but that's still, like I said, a couple of weeks away.
All right, it's 3:56. We'll have Max Olson. Let him discuss some things college football with us at 4. Mickey Spagnola at 4:30. Also, Ashley Hodge of Sikkim365.com and the latest commitment involving Jeremy Sokan, the young man that is from Indiana, but now will be playing his last year of high school in Germany. Is he in London now? Is that
he was living in London, yeah, and then he's going to go to Germany.
Another big-time, nice commitment for Scott Drew and company after yesterday's Langston Love, who did. And I did reach out to Jeremy. He's... What is it, like 7-8 hours ahead of us in England or in London, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen.
And trust the podcast will probably be up, if it's not already, at some point here soon. Just ignore the way I pronounce his last name when Grayson and I talk about it, because we did not have the insight yet on it being Sokan. I think I called him like Sochan or something like that, but no, it's a big pickup, and I do believe that he was in London. Pandemic stuff, obviously, and then we'll head to Germany. So he's going to be a very well-traveled young man.
All right, coming up next, we'll have Max Olson. He's been writing about all of what's going on with college sports, football. He's next on Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters with Jay Ehret, the owner. What a job he has done. The bed covers you can get there. I mean, there's about every type you can imagine. If there's another type, they don't have it because it doesn't exist. Retractable, hard folding, one-piece lids, hard, soft roll-up covers, removable, paint to match, covers to fit any budget, any size of whatever bed you need to be covered with your pickup truck. All professionally installed with Pickup Outfitters' lifetime installation warranty and guarantee and free warranty assistance. Worry-free purchase from Pickup Outfitters, now serving Waco and the area for 20 years. Learn more about the bed covers and see the displays at their showroom, 2020 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or you could always go to createacommotion.com/covers. There are locking bed covers that almost every truck bed is secure. If you have a solid bed cover and you keep the tailgate locked, you cannot get inside. Also, shelter from the elements, and right now that sun that's just beating down on whatever you have in your pickup bed, and even the dust, and occasionally might even get some sprinkles, but not much at this time. Privacy, extra storage space, that's what you get with a pickup cover, a bed cover for your pickup truck. Pickup Outfitters, createacommotion.com, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
In great times or tough times, you always feel better working with someone who's there for you. When it comes to great banking, people here count on the First National Bank of Central Texas, here to help you, your family, and your business. Personal banking via phone, desktop, tablet, and drive-through. And business banking tailored for all situations, including yours. Amazing tomorrows from the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus. And best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects. With 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
For the tie. Kick is on the way, and it hit the upright. It's no good. He hit the left upright.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozers Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
I just realized we might have a mistake here with Max on the show. I don't know if you guys heard about this. You know, the blue check marks, the real snotty ones on Twitter, Craig, Max Olson, Elon Musk, you know, those like that.
Bill Gates.
Yeah. Well, they were all taken off of Twitter, and it was something that I didn't realize I had that kind of power. But
you're the hacker?
How long was it out, Craig? Like 3 or 4 hours? Or
something like that, yeah.
Well, Twitter. So Max put up, can I tweet again? And he had a poll, and it said, yes, 36.5%, nah, 63.5%. And I said, if your numbers don't improve, you're out. I forgot to tell you that, Paul.
Yeah.
This is.
Oh, yeah. Well, look, I think we give him a pat. I mean, you know, Twitter's just so hateful.
This is an outrage.
Yeah.
So what happened, Mac, for you blue checkmark snobs? And Craig's got one too. So what happened? You went to go tweet something and it didn't show up, or you couldn't tweet what?
Well, first of all, if my approval rating is like 36%, I mean that's worse than the president's at this point. So that's pretty alarming for me. I'll tell you what, it was weird for a couple hours there where Twitter locked out all of the verified accounts from posting any tweets, which was fortunately no. I mean, it's funny with what's going on today. These past few weeks and months. It's thank God nothing serious actually broke during that time because nobody would have been able to tweet about it. Well, it was a very peaceful few hours. I didn't have to set up a burner account because I'm not that addicted to it or anything. And just for the record, it's not like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and these guys invite me to their blue checkmark parties or anything. So still not, still really not in the club on that one.
But now if you ever meet them, you say like, hey, I had the blue checkmark thing problem too.
That means that when we tweeted during that time, and I didn't realize what was going on because I'm not that into it as much anymore. I really am not, but I like, oh my God, we might have had people actually paying attention to us. But all right, so Max, you're opening today. The Big 12, let's go to that first. The Big 12 preseason team came out. Baylor had Terrell Bernard. My only name that I had voted on that was not a part of the team was Tyquan Thornton at wide receiver. Let's start with Baylor. That's about the only two that probably would be included. Is that
Connor Galvin?
Connor Galvin, the offensive lineman's name, we brought that up as a possibility as well. Does that kind of go with what you thought as well?
Yeah, the three receivers I picked on my All Big 12 ballot were Tylan Wallace, Tyquan Thornton, and Charleston Rambo. So, I would have thought that Thornton would have fit on there. And certainly with where Baylor's going offensively, if we are able to have a season, I think he'll put up some big numbers. So, the linebackers was kind of a tough pick. I went a little bit back and forth on those picks, but definitely felt like, Terrell Bernard, basically from when Clay Johnston went down on, not a more productive linebacker in the Big 12 than Terrell Bernard. So those picks kind of made sense. And, Chuba Hubbard wins offensive, preseason player of the year. It makes sense to me. I actually had Garrett Wallow from TCU as my pick for the, preseason defensive player of the year. There's a ton of guys you could sort of identify for that. And, Spencer Rattler winning preseason newcomer of the year doesn't really make a lot of sense to me just because he played in games last year. So I don't really consider him a newcomer. I actually picked the wide receiver from Iowa State, Xavier Hutchinson. Have heard really big things about him. I think he's going to, if they're able to play, I think he's a big playmaker for them.
Max, okay, so the Big Ten and the Pac-12 have done what they've done and gone ahead and said no non-conference games. What are the chances that the other leagues don't follow suit here in a few weeks?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think we all kind of assumed at the end of last week that things were heading in that direction. And certainly, as we've seen this play out so far, these leagues can kind of sit around and come up with their plans. But if everybody else cancels on you, then I guess that's kind of what you're stuck with, right? So the report from Sports Illustrated this week that the other three Power 5 leagues are talking together and trying to figure out some ways to, maybe potentially have a model that preserves some of those non-conference games. I think it's really interesting. Obviously, it creates some unique challenges in terms of, like, especially for the playoff purposes, if you've got, some team playing 10 games and 9 and 8 and whatever. But I at the same time, it all just feels like kind of wishful thinking and planning where, you kind of lock in the plan and you hope that a month from now it still makes sense. But I think the Big Ten Pac-12 thinking probably is logical overall, and I can see the other leagues end up following it because you kind of need the flexibility from a scheduling standpoint to break off those ties and be able to just work within your league on figuring out, what makes sense in the Big 12's case with just the 10 teams in this league,
Yeah. Max, what stood out to you, if anything else, from the guidelines the NCAA issued out?
Yeah, it's a really long document. I haven't had a lot of time to kind of go pour through it here, but certainly it's really interesting that we're at mid-July here. I know you want as much time as possible to gather this information and sort of figure out best practices, but it is still pretty wild to me that we're 2 weeks away from hypothetically starting fall practices, and we're still just sort of settling on this stuff that these Power 5 leagues are just now kind of locking in what they're going to try and do from a testing standpoint. So it's, I think what the NCAA shared in terms of the line chart, I think folks should check that out of just where they thought we'd be and where we are right now. I think is just the most alarming thing. I think everyone understands that, many months ago when you started charting the course for a college football season to happen in the fall, as I've said to you guys before, there was an expectation that August was going to be better than July and that July would be better than June. And that's where it gets kind of alarming right now. Is just that, and it's a little disappointing that we kind of had to wait till mid-July for these schools and conferences to start telling people, hey, it's really imperative that you wear your mask, because clearly now it feels like the clock's ticking.
Yeah, it really does. It's almost as if I think the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 12 were obviously caught off guard last week with the Big 10 or whatever it was, because we had Mack Rhodes on, I guess, that same day. Yeah. And he had no idea. It was kind of a stunning thing for him, I think, as well. But it appears as if, what is the rush, Max? Why not everybody wait at least until maybe another couple of weeks and whether things change or not?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I get from the standpoint of Greg Sankey and Bob Bowlesby that the reaction to that move by those two leagues is, wait a minute, I thought we had the rest of the month, And I think it's probably reflective of the thing that we've been observing ever since March, really, and that's just that, who's the boss, right? Who's in charge of this stuff? Because the NCAA is pretty ineffective and toothless when it comes to sort of arranging all this stuff for everybody. I like, the best practices from a health standpoint. That's great. It's important that they set standards that everybody at the FBS level can live up to here. But in terms of scheduling and in terms of a lot of these tough decisions that are having to be made, it almost seems like these conferences, these Power 5 leagues, don't want to leave it in the hands of the NCAA and Mark Emmert and want to say, look, we can handle this and navigate this better on our own. But it just clearly shows you when the other Power 5 leagues have no warning that the Big Ten is making a season-altering move, and the MAC commissioner has to come out and say, wait a minute, I thought we were all partners on this. You just canceled a ton of games that really affect my league. It just goes to show you that as the pressure kind of cranks up, it's you hope that these folks are collaborating and working together, but that might not be the case.
Max, if you had to go in front of, they're going to testify in front of the Senate again this week about name, image, and likeness and all that and see how that goes. But, and I think we probably know how it is going to go. But if you had to go in front of the Senate and explain why the NCAA should continue to exist in the current form, I think it seems like every month or every week we get a reason why, no, they need to go back to the drawing board and reshuffle the deck here altogether.
Well, right. It's yeah, I think this whole year, going back to, like I said, to the just the craziness of what went down in March. Like you think back, and I remember talking with Mack Rhodes about this the day after it happened. Like everyone was sort of trying to figure out what to do about the conference basketball tournaments, and you sort of have to rush into that decision. And then here comes the hammer that there's no spring sports the rest of the year, right? And I think Greg Sankey and Mack Rhodes and everybody else is like, wait a minute, how did baseball and the College World Series and all these other sports get wrapped up into that? Where, you're just wondering, like, kind of how are these decisions being made and communicated? And, I think that's kind of how this pandemic has been in a lot of things, in a lot of industries and businesses and stuff where, if you've kind of got this faulty foundation, I think you're really being tested right now. And I think that's kind of how it is with the NCAA where, they want to weigh in on things, and then when they don't want to weigh on things, they say, well, we just represent, our school, our member schools. But it certainly has shown the ineffectiveness. So that's for sure.
Max, there's been talk amongst fans and also media about the idea of a college football czar, I think is the term that's been used, or an overarching authority figure like you've mentioned. Do you think that would be supported by the conferences, or is that something that they would want to shy away from?
It's a great question. I mean, would they be willing to put that much power in one person? I think there's a lot of reasons why it would be beneficial. I think that, it would be great, eventually when things return to a somewhat normal state, it would be great for these other leagues to get on the same page and have uniform scheduling, a lot of those kind of mandates and stuff. But there's not one person that can force them to do it. And so I feel like we've heard this for years and years that football is kind of missing out on this, kind of centralized power. And, maybe it takes just such an extreme crisis like this for people to understand the value in that. Because like I said, right now, look, the baseball stuff went poorly, but at least everybody knew that Rob Manfred and Tony Clark were in charge of it and were working through it and negotiating it. It went badly, but at least you knew who was making the call. And I think in college football and college athletics in general, I think we're all still sitting here wondering how that works.
Anything else, guys? Paul?
Nope.
Craig?
Nope.
Max, we just kind of go day to day, right? It's like being tugged in the wind, and we'll see what happens. And hopefully there's something that allows us to cover the game that we love so much, whether it's from afar, whether it's in the media, press box, I don't know. Just want to see some games. We'll see what happens. Thanks for your time.
Hopefully I can see your smiling faces on Zoom at a future press conference or me here at some point.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, August 3rd, maybe. Yeah.
August 3rd.
Hey, I'll ask you that. Do you feel like the fact that they moved back the media days, which to me would have had in my opinion, would have had very little oomph on Monday or Tuesday, even though we were like thirsty for anything. Do you feel like the fact they moved it back to August 3rd is a sign?
Yeah, I mean, I think Greg Sankey has said that, that they are going to be in a position to make a decision at the end of July. And I think it probably makes more sense from Bob Bowlesby's side, too, that, hey, why don't we wait, why don't we get through the end of July, and that way we can be able to come out in public and say, here's the plan, and as opposed to having media days next Monday where Bob Bowlesby gets on and says, I don't know. I don't know the answer to your question. So, yeah, from that standpoint, it makes sense. But I don't know. It's also hard to – I mean, there's going to be some leagues that just probably don't even do a media day because it's probably weird to subject the players to talking about this stuff anyway.
Thank you. Max Olson with us on Sikkim 365 Radio every Thursday at 4. When we were kind of in the bubble ourselves of between the first show and what we were going to do, we all kind of knew – we kind of knew, picked a date when the announcement came down on March 20-something – 22nd or 23rd. We knew the first day. Max reached out to me, and I remember I was driving on the access road on 35 on the north side of town, and was asking me about what we were going to do. Committed immediately. He goes, just tell me a day at a time. Gave me a couple of his best options. He used to be on with Craig on the radio, and now with us on Thursdays at 4.
Yeah, he's a great guy, a great reporter, and great analyst to have on a regular basis. So, I like Max a lot and really appreciate him.
When we come back, a couple other notes. We'll update the Memorial Tournament up in Ohio. Some of the big names are struggling. Some of them, Jimmy Walker's having a hell of a day.
You should see, audience out there, Paul and Smokey, their necks swinging back and forth wildly to see what Tiger Woods is doing.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, and I blame this on me. I think he's still even, Paul, or is he?
Yeah. Look, it's Tiger, and for me, I've got Tiger and Brooks Koepka. So I've got
a little fantasy deal.
I've got. Well, I mean, like Brooks Koepka is my dude now.
Right. I mean, Tiger's in the rough on a par 5. None of these guys are just destroying the par 5s, and that's because, well, you know what? Jack's tied this thing up a little bit. He's changed it up a little bit. Mickelson was 3 over through 4. He's now even. We'll come back and update you on that, and also a Jimmy Walker update, the former Baylor All-American as well. That and more. And then at 4:30, Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. At 5, Ashley Hodge on the latest commitment. Today, Jeremy Sokan with Baylor. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
It's employee pricing for everyone right now at Richard Carr. You pay what employees pay all month long. Qualified buyers can save over $7,000 on 2020 Acadias or Yukons, or save over $6,000 on Terrains. They've also got the Buick Encores, the perfect crossover SUV with a quiet ride, roomy interior, and packed with safety features and the latest technology. Right now, you can get a Buick Encore for only $19,900. It's a savings of $6,000 on a 2020 Encore. And if you're looking for the ultimate in luxury, style, power, all wrapped up in a new SUV, well, don't settle. Drive the Cadillac XT4, XT5, or the 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Experience the thrill of owning a Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr Cadillac. You get great prices, free oil changes with a new purchase, and in-town priority warranty service, all when you buy a vehicle from Richard Carr Buick GMC Cadillac. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They want the chance to earn your business. So stop by the Daily Disinfected showroom, see their safety-focused staff, or they can bring the test drive to your home, because your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at richardcarr, KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial Exit.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
What are you supposed to do when you pull up behind a truck that doesn't even have a hitch? I mean, it's like looking at plumber's crack. Do you cover your kids' eyes, look away, and switch radio stations? Hi, Jay here from Pickup Outfitters, asking for your help to end this embarrassing form of truck nudity. If you have a truck, at some point you need to pull something. It could be a trailer to haul stuff off to the dump, maybe a jet ski, a boat, an RV, a horse trailer, even just a bike rack. The point is, put a hitch on your truck's backside. And at Pickup Outfitters, we actually install more hitches than anything else. Whether it's a receiver hitch, a gooseneck, or a fifth wheel, we'll cover your aspirations to not drive a nude truck. And all hitches are covered by the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. So cover your rear end with a new hitch from Pickup Outfitters on Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we're fighting to end truck nudity in Central Texas. Check them out on our website at createacommotion.com/hitches.
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof, where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, so let's do an update from the Memorial Tournament in Ohio, Dublin, Ohio. Gary Woodland and Tony Finau, 5 under with a couple of 3 holes to play. Jimmy Walker dropped a shot at 17. He's through 17. He's tied for 5th at 3 under par. Jordan Spieth's at 2 under par. And then there's Rory McIlroy's 1 under. Tiger's even. Mickelson's even. Brooks Koepka. DeChambeau, 1 over par. He's done for the day. Koepka's 1 over through 14. So that's kind of I know there's many other names. Justin Thomas, 2 over. He's done for the day. But that course is playing pretty tight. It's been windy, and the greens are hard, drying out. And Nicholas rejuvenated that course, and the players, hey, they're going to go low. So someone's going to go low, and 500 is still very, very good.
Nice shot just now. I don't know who hit that. Oh,
Tiger. That's the man right there.
Oh, my God, this is a great day.
He almost nailed that.
He was 109 yards out, by the way, on the shot tracker, and he just hit one about maybe 2 inches from the cup. We're so stupid.
Yeah. He just scooped down with his club to like pick up a divot, and I thought, here's how much I love Tiger. I'm like, he's killing a snake too.
Yeah, I know.
That's what he's doing.
I like that shirt.
So he's going to go 1 under. Again, he's still kind of erratic. He hadn't played since they shut it down, and didn't play much before they shut it down either, and didn't play all that well. But he just, he's one of the few guys that will make me stop and watch.
Yeah.
Did you guys?
Anything.
Did you guys tune in at all to NASCAR last night?
I saw a little bit of it. And there were people strung together. Like it's not like they were social distancing.
Yeah.
They were, 15 or 20 people in a row, all sitting there together watching the event.
Yeah, and they'll be in Texas this weekend. O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 at a Texas Motor Speedway coming up this weekend. So yeah, it was good to see people in the crowd. We'll see, because it's not going to be like a day later, that, okay, this is cool to move forward with the entire time. I'm sure they got to, check out numbers and things like that. But it was just refreshing to see some people in the crowds, and man, watching, like me and Paul were kind of talking during a break about wrestling, because I'm a big wrestling guy, and I was getting excited because AEW won the quote-unquote ratings war last night over NXT, and he was asking me, how that kind of operates with a sport so based on fans. Well, one of the things that AEW did and now NXT followed suit was to put the wrestlers who aren't in matches as basically crowd members, right? And to have some kind of a noise, but it's nothing compared to having 10, 15, 20,000 people in an arena. They miss it desperately, man. And, the NBA getting started is great. And, golf, I think, can manage just fine, quite frankly, without it. I mean, I think that's a sport that can really still thrive despite, clapping and things like that. But, man, it's just, fans make all the difference in the world, dude.
I can just tell you. So I know, just in the comedy community, there's a lot of comedians that have tried to do stuff, and I know there's some people that are just doing shows on the back of trucks outside, and that's what they're doing, because you can't do that. And the same thing with wrestling. To me, everything on the wrestling show is based on the reaction of the fans and how they're shocked at these, that this is going to happen. The same with stand-up comedy. I can't just sit here and do, material on Zoom without an audience, because I won't know how people are reacting unless they're just sending me messages going ha ha ha.
Oh yeah,
and that I've watched a couple of late night shows and what they do, and basically they're just doing their bits and they're hoping that you're laughing at home.
Yeah.
But it's still hard, because sometimes you start laughing because other people are laughing, and or they bounce off that. There's no riffing, there's no nothing. You just got to go straight through.
Yeah.
So
it's weird. It's so weird, and it's something we definitely took for granted. And so yeah, that was good to have that kind of extra energy and everything in NASCAR last night. Hopefully we could continue to trend in this direction, because it's just not the same without fans. It's not. I mean, I'll tell you, go right now and watch the biggest sports moments from 2019 and see the crowd's what makes those moments. It's not even the play itself. It's the reaction to the play, I think, that is what makes you want to go back and watch it and rewatch it and hear it again and turn the volume up to hear the pop of the crowd when a guy catches the game-winning touchdown or hits the game-winning home run or whatever the case may be. So, definitely missed, that's for sure, but it'll be so welcome when we can get back to that point.
When we come back, Mickey Spagnola now that the deadline's over with Dak, we move forward to what's next, his thoughts and more. We'll have Ashley Hodge at 5 and the latest, Jeremy Sokan, who committed to Baylor, and Scott Drew earlier in the day. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Summertime means vacation time, and when you hit the road, do it in the vehicle of summer, Jeep. At Allen Samuels, it's our huge summer clearance event. It's on. Get employee pricing on brand new 2020 Jeep Gladiator Sport Editions, plus an additional $1,500 in retail bonus cash. And ask about 0% and no payments for 90 days on other Jeep models. It's time to say goodbye. Adios, 2020s from Allen Samuels.
Ask for details. All offers with approved credit.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Do you love Friday Night Lights? Would you like to have a bigger role than just watching the action to ensure the games are played fairly and safely? The Waco football chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO, can make that happen. The 2020 Texas high school football season is right around the corner, and we need you to be a part of it. There's a shortage of officials across the state in all sports, and you can help. If you love the game and want to be a part of the solution, you can help our local student athletes continue to participate in games they love. Never officiated before? Don't worry. Waco Football Chapter can help and prepare you to make the right call. And right now, Introduction to Football Officiating class is accepting registrations. Make your first grade call today by looking us up and contacting us on Facebook at Waco Football Chapter or at our website, wacofootballchapter.com. Find out more about the Waco Football Chapter of the Texas Association of Sports Officials, or TASO. Go to wacofootballchapter.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways, because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com.
Prescott gets it complete as Cooper takes it all the way.
Here we go, 4:32. Mickey Spagnola joins us, DallasCowboys.com. We'll have Ashley Hodge at 5 on the latest commitment to Baylor men's basketball, who has some international flair to him. All right, Mickey, thank God the deadline's over. Dak, there's no more talk about whether he'll sign an extension, at least not for a while, and then that will all pick up yet again. In your opinion, by him doing what he did, is there anything that the Cowboys now have on the table between now and whenever training camp begins that would be next on their agenda?
Oh, David always comes up with a different question than anybody else asks.
I hope that's good.
No, it is, because you make me think. And by the way, thanks for such a professional opening there for me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
No, I mean, I think the biggest thing that needs to be taken care of is more of a league thing and figuring out how this whole thing's going to work when and if training camp opens. I think from a roster standpoint, they've kind of got everything in place. I guess the next thing, David, since I bought myself some time to think, got to get the rookies signed, the draft choices. Mm-hmm. None of them are signed yet, and there's 7 of them out there. And that's going to take up $7.3 million. That's their rookie salary cap. And once that's done, the salary cap is going to dwindle to very little. And so when people talk about reasons why this didn't get done, I'm sure the Cowboys aren't happy that they couldn't sign Dak to a long-term deal to reduce the impact of his salary cap charge. Could have probably reduced $31.4 million to maybe 15 or 20 and open up 15 or $10 million of cap space, which they really sorely need. So there's very little wiggle room they have left for this year. And the other point on that, this is not all about this year. It's about next year and about 2022. You've got to mind the cap. And if you look at some of the salaries they have going right now, they have to be very careful on their budget. So, the question I always get is, well, why didn't they just do it? He's the most important thing, and he is. But it's also most important to get people around him. And, if you see what happened with Patrick Mahomes' contract, he took, the way it got structured since he had 2 years left on his rookie deal, he left them a lot of cap space this year and next year to deal with to be able to sign other players. So there's a science to this that I don't think everybody understands. It's not as black and white as, well, just sign him. Just give him what he asked for, which we don't know what they asked for. And like all of us, you got to have a budget. And they always got accused of overpaying people to sign them, to doing whatever it took to re-sign their guys, to the detriment of their salary cap. Well, this was the one time, they toed the line and said, no, this is what we can afford. And I see them getting criticized for it.
Yeah, Mickey, I will wonder, like, when the history of this is finally written, what really was the sticking point why this couldn't get done for 2 off seasons now? I think that's the big curiosity to me is, especially how much, like you said, it would benefit the Cowboys cap space wise, why they didn't and what the thing was that really stopped this from happening.
Well, I'm going to give you the first thing that comes to my mind: money. We don't know what they were asking for. Did they want something that was going to average $40 million a year? Were they asking for something that was going to average $45 million a year? Because $35 million a year wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to match what Russell Wilson's getting paid, or to make more per year than Jared Goff or Carson Wentz. So it's hard for me to get away from just the pure money of the fact that factors in. Now, what came out was term, right? They want 4, the Cowboys wanted 5. Well, when those guys signed their extensions, they all had a year left on their contract. So, in essence, they were able to spread the signing bonus over 5 years, not the 4-year extension. They wanted over 4, and then think about this. Probably next year on a 5-year deal, the signing bonus, the base salary is going to go way up. So what they probably had planned was, well, we'll just give you a restructure bonus and spread that cap over the length of the contract. Well, you could spread it over 4, but if you do that on a 4-year deal, you only spread it over 3. And when you're talking $175 million package, that's significantly different. So to me, money and how it was structured had a lot for the term, I think had a lot to do with maybe why this hasn't gotten done. The other point is Dak's agent, and I'm not trying to lay blame here, I'm just throwing out facts. Dak's agent, Todd France, had 3 guys under the tag this year, 3 guys that couldn't get signed to a long-term deal prior to the franchise tag. None of those 3 guys signed extensions. They're all playing on the tag this year.
Mickey, not to get too crazy far ahead. Dak's of the utmost importance moving forward, obviously, but outside of him, with all the other contracts they've been able to get done, who do you see on the horizon being that next big deal that they'll eventually, come to a point to have to take care of?
Well, you'll have a restricted free agency deal on Michael Gallup, but if he has another really good year or starts having a good year, they may try to sign him to an extension in advance. From a defensive standpoint, they're okay with Van Der Esch. Jalen Smith got his extension. I'm trying to think of somebody else that just didn't show up on a one-year deal that would need to be extended with a contract that you would say, well, I don't know if they could. I don't see. Let's put it this way. I don't see a Byron Jones on the horizon.
Gotcha.
Like, need to re-sign somebody like that.
Okay. So
that's great. I mean, Dak's and then Gallup eventually. I mean, that shows they've taken care of their business with a lot of their guys.
So, but Amari Cooper is under contract long term, and you just drafted CeeDee Lamb, and if you're going to keep and Michael Gallup, there's always that question: what is he, a 1 or 2, whatever? There's always those questions, but eventually you can't keep everybody. But they have pretty much done that this year, right? Haven't they had what you would consider a successful offseason, no matter the one, because people with Dak Prescott, fans or not, they're either blue states or red states with him because he's the quarterback of the Cowboys. But, it hasn't, for the most part, they've done everything they needed to do, or am I missing something?
No, I think they were wise, David, in free agency, because even though they signed a couple older defensive tackles, they signed them to deals that they could get out of with very little dead money. And I'm talking about Poe and McCoy. They didn't sign them to exorbitant long-term deals. And so they, from that standpoint, if they drafted well and they hit on these draft choices and these guys could come in and play well, maybe you save yourself from having to bid in free agency for a Chidobe Awuzie or a Xavier Wood, depending on what some of their younger guys can do. Same thing on the defensive line. If Gallimore is like the real deal, well, okay, then maybe you don't need to extend those veteran defensive tackles that you invested in. From the other defensive end spot, you took a flyer on Aldon Smith. Well, let's see what happens. But yeah, from a cap standpoint, they spent, and if you look at next year, if that salary cap doesn't go up, the way it's expected or has been, right, about 10 million a year, 10% increase a year. And that's the way you planned out your budget. Like the way you structured some of these salaries, the base salaries go up and you're going, okay, well, I'll have 10 or 15 more million available next year. And then more than that, and I can handle some of this stuff. But if you shoot, you overspend for one position, then you get yourself in trouble. And I go back to Mahomes. His salary cap charge for this year is probably about $6 million. Next year it's 20, 24, something like that. So the way he agreed to structure his contract with a very small, by the way, signing bonus, most of his stuff in rolling guaranteed roster bonus, he left that money available for this year to get Chris Jones under contract instead of him having to play on the franchise tag. And he even talked about it. So there's a lot more that goes into this stuff, and you guys know that, than just saying, okay, let's sign him. Let's give Dak $45 million. And I'm exaggerating. I don't know what they asked for. All I know is $35 million a year wasn't enough. And the fact that he would have put today $50 million signing bonus in the bank.
Mickey, I've asked a lot of people this just because we're bearing down on when training camp should be, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. We had RG3 on the show, the other day, and he said that, just talking with the players, that they're not satisfied with any plan the NFL has had. You've heard GM say that there's no plan yet. The NFL couldn't really pull off a bubble like the NBA, could they?
No, they're not.
At least even with individual teams. I mean, even like if...
the NBA is pulling off a bubble with, 25 guys?
Yeah.
I don't know what their roster is or what they're allowing them to bring into the bubble. The NHL, I think 30. So that's not 90. And where could you go and bring 32 teams with 90 guys? That's like almost 2,800 into a bubble and keep them all there. I laughed on the wristbands the NBA players are wearing, like it's got a chip in it, and if they go anywhere outside their perimeter, an alarm goes off.
It's like a shot collar.
Smoke alarm, and somebody knows that you just violated the bubble. It would be hard. Now, I thought that if they were going to do the bubble for training camp with 90 guys, that everybody should be required to stay in a hotel, the team, just like training camp, right? Well, from what I read, it's not mandatory. The guys that live in the town where camp is, they have the opportunity to go home, or if they want, they could be put up in the hotel with the other guys that, haven't made the team or whatever and don't have a place to stay. So the other thing the NFL has to take care of, considering that factor, is they're going to hold seminars to educate whoever's living with the player to understand their responsibility not to be reckless and infect the player who might have to, and could end up testing positive and then have to sit out for 2 weeks or more, depending on how serious it is. So, there's so much to take care of. And what's the day, the 16th? So we're 12 days away from the 30 of the teams going to training camp. They've got a lot of stuff to figure out in a short period of time.
Yeah, they really do. They absolutely do. We're talking to Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Mickey, I would normally not bring Twitter rumors into the conversation because, I think we all know that Twitter is very hit or miss as far as facts go, but there's no escaping all of the smoke surrounding the Washington Redskins right now and Daniel Snyder and is something going on?
Yeah, the Post released their story, and it's a subscription site, so you can't read part of it, but I'm watching, Rick Mace is one of the reporters, that there is a bunch of former Redskins employees who told the Washington Post they were sexually harassed during their time with the team. 14 women spoke in the condition of anonymity, citing fear of litigation. Some signed NDAs, non-disclosure agreements with the team. The team declined. But this has been kind of out there for about 2 or 3, 4 days, and it popped now. I guess it popped on the Washington Post, just released it in recent. What can be done? And I don't know who's all involved. I know they've had a couple of administrative guys resign or longer with them.
It says here 3 team employees accused of improper behavior include the abruptly departed Larry Michael, longtime radio voice, and Alex Santos, the director of pro personnel, who stepped away last week.
Yeah, and I actually
they had 2 guys, David, in their front office, Santos and another guy in the pro personnel or scouting department, like a couple of days ago, got fired.
Yeah.
And then their play-by-play guy resigned. And think about it, 2 of the minority owners are trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so maybe they were trying to get out before the Gatling gun went off.
Well, the Gatling gun got them, because that story, Will Hobson and also Liz Clark, who we've had on the show back when RG3 was drafted, and she came to Waco to actually do a feature on what Baylor and Waco thought of RG3. But 15 women accused former Redskins employees of sexual harassment and verbal abuse. And of them, 14 of them have stayed on the base, I guess, of anonymity. But Daniel Snyder's obviously been under the gun. The mascot, the name is going to change. It's retired. They've even kind of screwed that up with the trademarks that others have been able to kind of gobble up. That's going to cost them extra money. Would it be good? Now, Daniel Snyder has a ton of money, but that franchise is supposed to be one of the elite, and it hasn't been for a quarter of a century. Cowboys have had their struggles, but at least on occasion, not just on, like they had RG3 had the year. Kirk Cousins won the division, but they have been a mess. Is there ever to a point where a league would just say, we want you to sell the damn franchise so we can make this team better again, or this franchise clean and better again?
I don't know that there's a precedent for that. I was trying to, think back over the last, since I've been involved in this 35 or so years. Not everybody was happy with Al Davis, but they never tried to force him out, I don't think. There's been some sales. Well, remember what happened in Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't know if the league, said something or he just decided to save the franchise and it's like, okay, I got to go with Richardson. But I can't think of anybody else that maybe they tried to force out. I think some things happen like that, maybe in the NBA.
Yeah, the guy from the Clippers.
The Mavericks,
yeah,
and all
right?
those.
Yeah. But I don't remember that happening in the NFL. And yeah, the Redskins on top of, Washington on top of their, I still call them the San Diego Chargers, so
Right.
I'm not guilty. Between the name change now and now this, a new coach, yeah, they're up against it. But I'll let David take care of that.
Yeah.
I'll be like Bill Parcells, just trying to keep my own house from burning down.
No, yeah, it's a mess, and that story just was released. You saw a lot of smoke. I'll tell you what, I don't know if what you hope is still some journalism is alive, although so much of it is dead. That I saw those who cover the team actually promoting, and there's, we're supposed to be we're supposed to compete. We're supposed to be professionals and all that. But, if you hear this story, then if you don't have it by now, then you're screwed because somebody else does. But I actually saw those who were competitors, almost like promoting another media outlet's story instead of trying to go out and, well, wait a minute, what can we find out? That was a little bit different.
I've got the article open on the Washington Post here, and just a quick perusing is just there's a lot of stuff to go through here.
Yeah.
Well, it's mainly about what we said, Richardson at Carolina, obviously Donald Sterling for his comments with the Clippers. There is a way to push him out. So
nobody would be happier than Washington fans.
Yeah, no, because it's been 25 years. As bad as the Cowboys have sometimes failed their fans, they have still been relevant with a couple of 13-3s or a couple of teams that thought that they could possibly win the whole thing, or at least win more than just the division title. Mickey, thank you, man. Appreciate your time. We appreciate it. Mickey Spagnola with us.
All right, good talking with you guys.
You too.
Absolutely.
Thursdays at 4:30 with us on Sikkim 365 Radio.
No, I have not been able to read through this, obviously, since it just dropped, and 15 women alleging sexual harassment by high-ranking executives is really bad. But if you would have based it off of Twitter last night, though, it was like everything you can imagine that's evil happened.
Jeffrey Epstein.
They mentioned that.
It was Daniel Snyder
was
a
script
part
of
of this.
Caligula.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And Larry Michaels, he's been their broadcast voice for 16 years, and you guys know I've been a huge Washington NFL fan since I was old enough to understand it. But that broadcast team, with all due respect, they've been a mess. People talking on each other. You have Jurgensen, who's no longer, I think, a part of it, but, again, a legend. And then you have Ricky Walker, Doc Walker, and then and then what the tight end Cooley. It's just a mess. So, but Larry Walker's still very young.
It sounded
and to
like
just walk away, you knew there was a reason.
The way they operated was like your friend's podcast. I mean, there's just kind of how it's like, hey, you listen to a podcast.
It's like a tailgate party.
But yeah, it was ridiculous because especially Jurgensen, who you will never, especially when we had those games when RG3, when we were at the radio station, we had RG3. I'd be driving around listening sometimes, and Jurgensen, by the third quarter, you're like, hey, you got to stop serving this guy.
Yeah,
he's just too into it.
By the way, I've reached out to Liz Clark. She was on with us a couple of different times. She actually came to Waco, and I remember she might have had maybe lunch with a couple of folks that covered Baylor football as far as the media relations department. Great reporter, but she's on the byline, so I'll see if I can reach out to her.
Well, this might just be the perfect timing for the name Redskins to die and Daniel Snyder's ownership to die as well. I mean, reboot the whole dadgum thing.
I'm not going to pay the $1 a month, though, to get to the story.
I mean, it'll all come out on Twitter eventually, but, do support journalism, but just, they're not necessarily for this one article, but it seems like everything is changing in our world, and a lot of things are being revealed and everything like that. And so, the Redskins having their turn, and maybe it's just a great time for that franchise to just hit the restart button entirely.
Of course, there's a Cowboys blogger. Here's one of the quotes. Snyder routinely belittled top executives. That's not a surprise. No. According to 3 former members of his executive staff, perhaps most intensely green, the former sales executive whom Snyder mocked for having been a male cheerleader in college. After one executive staff meeting, according to one former employee, Green said Snyder had ordered him to do cartwheels for their entertainment.
Okay.
See, that's
not cool.
That's Wolf of Wall Street stuff right there.
It
That's
is.
That's what it sounds like.
That will end up being the one that gets the most attention.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I've been reading this article. I don't think so. This guy Santos has a bunch of them. Alex Santos. In 2019, he was the subject of an internal investigation after Rhiannon Walker, a reporter for The Athletic, informed the club Santos had pinched her and told her she had an ass like a wagon and repeatedly asked her to date him. Walker said in an interview with The Post. Nora Princiati, a reporter for The Ringer, who formerly covered the team, also said in an interview that she was harassed by Santos. Santos declined comment.
Here's one lined up at the top with transparent plexiglass. The stairs descend from the lobby to the locker room. I've been inside the Redskin Park and training area. Someone standing at the bottom can look up the skirt of a woman standing at the top. One former female employee, executive staff, learned this lesson early in her tenure when she looked down to see a male trainer 2 floors down staring right back up. He, by the way, retired at the end of December. The trainer in question, I think his last name is maybe like Hess.
Well, you knew something was going on when the pro personnel guy just abruptly was out of there when you've got a month until training camps eventually starting. You know what? That's just not coincidental, or that's not, just a guy decide, I just don't think I want to do this anymore. That's absolutely something's coming, and I'm going to get out of here while I can, or I'm getting forced out.
And the bigger issue is what did Daniel Snyder know about all this? And the accusation is at least Bruce Allen would have known, because the main person in this article, a lot of these incidents happened like 30 feet away from his office.
Is this why Bruce Allen never could get forced out of there? Because he knew about...
No, absolutely. Dan Snyder, Fox 25. I figured I'd get this out of the way now. Not the Washington owner, just a news guy in Oklahoma City. Shout out to the rest of those Dan Snyders out there, except the football owner. We're in for a long day.
Yeah, that's a problem when you have a name of a famous person and people aren't smart enough to check the profile before they start tweeting at you.
Some people have had death threats.
Yeah, that are the wrong guy. Yeah. And so he's smart to go ahead and put that out there. But yeah, I do wonder if that had something to do with how long Bruce Allen was able to hang on there, despite everybody wondering why he was able to hang on there as long as he was. Maybe this does force Snyder. I'll tell you though, I don't remember ever reading this article, but and I'm not a big Deadspin fan by any means, but they did have an article on the Redskins cheerleaders back in 2013 that detailed a photo shoot that they went on and how they were basically forced to go be entertainment, not like strippers or anything, but like eye candy for big millionaire, billionaire types on this yacht. And the guys were standing around gawking at them as they were doing these long photo shoots, and it was just real pervy and creepy, and it did not give off good vibes, and I'm surprised it didn't pick up more attention at the time.
So one of the problems is that apparently this whole time that's going on, for 220 full-time employees, the Redskins had one HR rep who also performed administrative duties at the team headquarters. And in the statement, the Redskins pointed out that they hired a new human resources manager in 2019, but if you worked there in 2014 and there wasn't anything, that's like saying, listen, we've got all the bees out of your house now, but you already got stung, man. I mean, so well, like, thanks for that, but if you don't work there anymore, I mean, and you left because it was terrible.
In 2018, Larry Michael was caught on a hot mic speaking about the attractiveness of a college-aged intern. According to 6 former employees who heard the recording, he declined it. They got 3 guys that left. There's actually more. Business operations employed female sales staff to wear low-cut blouses, tight skirts, flirt with wealthy suite holders. Former operating officer Applegate Gershman said routinely berated her for trivial problems such as printer malfunctions while also complimenting her body. Yeah, this is going to be the sexual harassment 101.
Yeah, here's the part that was kind of referencing the Deadspin piece from a few years ago. Dennis Green, who you mentioned about the low-cut blouses, tight skirts, encouraged them to flirt with wealthy suite holders. According to 5 former employees, Green's 17-year career with the club ended in 2018 amid a scandal over the revelation he had sole access to Redskins cheerleaders, including attendance at a bikini calendar photo shoot in Costa Rica as part of premium suite packages. So if you bought a premium suite package, you got the Redskins cheerleaders scantily clad to basically entertain you.
So they've got this is after
Pimping
one,
them
after
out.
another, after another, after another. When we come back, Baylor men's basketball. Yesterday it was Langston Love who joined us. Today, Jeremy Sokan, who now is in Europe, who's the latest to commit to Scott Grew and Company. Ashley Hodge knows quite a bit about him from Sikkim365.com, and he's next. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas. Our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Trust the doctors that Baylor trusts. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive at 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. And order 30-pound bags of live crawfish by noon on Thursday and pick up on Friday to enjoy the weekend. Live crawfish available right now. And
Waco Custom Marketplace doors are open for business Monday through Friday from 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5. And crawfish boil boxes available as well. Make your order for live crawfish by noon on Thursday, pick up on Friday for the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh kolaches, cinnamon rolls, and baked bread daily. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, and house-cured and smoked bacon. Spices, seasonings, soup mixes, charcoal, and lighter fluid. Waco Custom Marketplace, doors open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday 10 to 5, 425 Lake Air Drive or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
Here we go to start this 5 o'clock hour. Baylor men's basketball yesterday, Sikkim365.com and Sikkim365 Radio all over Langston Love, who committed to Baylor late Monday night. Jason King had an interview. Grayson Grundhater had the story. We had him live on this show. And then Ashley Hodge had a coach who was coached Houston Hoops who discussed Langston Love. And Ashley Hodge joins us now again because Baylor today gets a commitment from Jeremy Sokan, who will play in Germany this year, who's originally from Indiana. And Ashley joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Ashley, what a 24-hour period. I know Langston Love, very highly coveted player. Is Jeremy Sokan, how much do people know about him, and what does this mean for Scott Drew in the class?
Well, it's another huge pickup. And first of all, I need to apologize to you because I think I gave you the wrong pronunciation earlier. It's pronounced Jeremy Sohan. I got verification of that. So S-O, like the C is silent. So it's Sohan.
Okay.
But you got a 6'8", 220-pound wing who can take people off the dribble. He can shoot threes. He's a dynamic scorer, great rebounder, plays with very high motor. I think a lot in the line of Taurean Prince and Royce O'Neal, and I think that had a big impact on his commitment to Baylor because you had two guys right there that you could hang your hat on as to good comparables. But these two guys, make no mistake about it. I mean, if you're a college coach, these are the types of players you want. You want guys that are in the 25 to 100 range on the national scene, because those are guys that typically stay in college for a few years and really help you win championships. And they're also guys that I think come into college with reasonable expectations. They both have like this reputation after talking to the coaches. I've talked to two coaches for Langston Love and Jeremy Sohan. The reputation is that these guys just want to work, they're coming to Baylor because of Baylor's plan to develop players. And that's, a big reason why they chose Baylor. So they're coming in with the right attitude. And I think if I'm Scott Drew, I couldn't be more excited about these two commitments.
How much of this has to do with, obviously with Langston, and he was, sold on Scott Drew a couple years ago before the success of this past season, but the 18, 19, whatever it was at number one that they had this year, that good long run, and people finally seeing Scott Drew on a national level, maybe how they hadn't before, and the way that this team played, that they're kind of maybe now drafting off of that for the first time ever.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it really cemented how great of a coach Scott Drew is and how great his staff is. And again, just this, what was talked about during the season, and now you see guys like Jeff Goodman, Gary Parrish, and Matt Norlander. Some of the national guys start talking about this more regularly, is that, Scott Drew is doing this without a lot of the top 10, top 15, top 20 type players in his program. And so, the reputation's really, becoming one of like Jay Wright and Tony Bennett and Tom Izzo, some of the great coaches, Mark Few, that they just develop guys really well, and they find guys that fit their system, and those guys excel in the system. I talked to Pat Holmes, the head coach at La Lumiere, prep school where Jeremy Sohan played last year. And, Pat made that comment. He said, Scott Drew and the staff do a terrific job. And I think, more and more of the players and more coaches are starting to really take notice of that. And obviously having a top 5 team last year didn't do anything to discourage, coaches taking notice of that.
Ashley, I know with the decision still to be made, that has somewhat of an effect, although even if a Jared Butler comes back, he's only likely to come back for one more year, so 2021 class doesn't really affect him, but they've got 2 now over the last 24 hours. What do you expect as it sort of stands right now as far as the 2021 class? Do you anticipate more additions? Kind of where are we with that in your mind?
I think they're going to, possibly take a pause and reassess, what they need from a roster management standpoint. Because, if you asked me today who I thought, the top 8 players for next year would be, I would say Jared Butler, Macio Teague, Davion Mitchell, obviously, Adam Flagler, who's been waiting his turn. He's going to be a terrific addition. Then you got JTT in the front court, and you've got Tristan Clark and Mark Vidal and Matthew Meyer. So you got 8 players with experience, 2 guys that sat out, but they played college basketball before. And then you've got, some talented freshmen coming in. So to answer your question, I think it becomes a situation where, Scott Drew really needs to look at, okay, how do I manage this roster? Because, these 2 guys, Langston Love and Jeremy Sohan, they're coming in and they're probably going to be ready to play. I mean, these guys are impact freshmen. And so you have to manage the roster in a way that, you can keep everybody happy. You got guys like Turner and Famba, and then, of course, the 3 freshmen coming in that are going to, wait their turn, hopefully. But they're going to be ready to go. These were all top 100 type guys that are coming in this freshman class this year. So it's a great problem to have. But I would not be surprised if they take a pause. And, there's certain guys that they'll take a commitment from, no doubt about it. But otherwise, they may be kind of selective and say, hey, let's wait and see, what our needs are, as we go into the spring. And possibly take one more guy. But I wouldn't expect more than one more commitment before the early signing period.
What right now is with Baylor's season that never finished because of COVID and what they did and being ranked number 1 for as long as they were and the way they played. What did they have, like one game where they just stunk it up, and that was that the second half against TCU where they just didn't play well? Maybe there was one other one, but I mean they only lost 4 times. Yeah, West Virginia. They were out of gas at that point and hurt. But how much did last year and having Butler and Teague looking at the NBA, even though they've had others who have done that before, and really just kind of the run they've been on without the elite whatever ranking players since Isaiah Austin, Perry Jones III, and also Quincy Miller. Is that something that people are starting to realize, wait a minute, man, they make players better when they get on campus, and not every staff can promise that or even have evidence they do that.
No question. And obviously the success of Taurean Prince and Royce O'Neal don't hurt. You got 2 guys that have just signed second contracts. 2 guys that were not highly regarded guys coming out of high school, and they've parlayed it into $30 million plus contracts. So I think that the 2 things go together. The current success definitely helps, and then certainly the success of seeing some guys excel in the NBA. Those 2 things I think are a big part of this as well.
Does this open Europe up for them a little bit more now that they haven't really done this before, as far as I can remember, Ashley?
Well, so an interesting. I was talking to one of the coaches that there's an interesting connection. So Jeremy played at Indiana this past year, but he's going to go play in Germany this year, and he's playing for one of Homer Drew's former players and a teammate of Jared Nunes's. So there's definitely a Drew family connection there. But yeah, I think because of, their relationship with, obviously, John Jacobs's connections in Europe, and, Fran Fraschilla speaks really highly of Scott Drew, and, he's definitely got a lot of connections in Europe. And then you've got, the the international connections that go all the way back to Homer Drew and, former players. And I mean, it's certainly, they're in the mix for some really good prospects coming out of Europe, and this should, definitely not hurt. I mean, Jeremy, if he comes in, has success, becomes another Torian Prince, Royce O'Neal, I think it's definitely going to be a beneficial thing for their recruiting in overseas.
Ashley, Scott Drew being the head coach, he's going to get the headlines when people kind of talk about the program, but just how special is this assistant coaching staff that he has assembled?
Incredible. I went to Italy with him, spent, 10 days. And, I think the unity of the staff is unique. They like each other. There's a unity in the Christian faith. These guys all have different skills and talents that they bring to the table. I saw Jerome Tang, a special shout out to Coach Tang. Jeff Goodman named him, I think, the number one assistant in college basketball in a recent article with Stadium, and well-deserved. Coach Tang deserves a shot at running his own program, and I think that day is going to be coming soon. It's going to be a big loss for Baylor, but, I think he's ready. He's been well-groomed, and I think that opportunity is going to come in the near future for him. But yeah, John Jacobs is awesome. Alvin Brooks is awesome. Nunes, AD, Ty Beard, Peterson. I mean, you just go down the line. I've missed a couple here. But yeah, I mean, the whole staff is just incredible, and just the definite unity and purpose, and how hard they work. Just really trying to create a great program is something that's there should be a lot of case studies done on it.
Ashley, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Ashley Hodge with us now. Since you helped me butcher Sohan's name, when the replay goes up, Paul, before it goes up, you send Ashley the 2 hours and 15 minutes that I butchered the name, and he has to go in and edit each one of them now.
Well, I thought I had it right, but then I saw an interview with him, and I thought he pronounced it Sohan. So I was like, if he's mispronouncing his name, probably.
I just that's okay. I'm just having fun with you guys. A great day yesterday on Sikkim 365 across the board, and today as well, and every day as we continue this great journey. Thanks for your time. We appreciate everything you do for us.
Yeah, thank you. And Jason King should have an article up. He couldn't reach Jeremy today, but I think he's going to try again tomorrow. There's an 8-hour, 7-hour time difference, so I should have an article up with an interview with Jeremy. But everybody's doing great work, and thanks for all you guys do.
You too. That's Ashley Hodge, one of the partners at the very top of the administration.
Yes.
Grayson Grunhaver just put this up. Baylor men's basketball has landed a top 50 commit back-to-back days with Love and now Sohan. Made their announcements. The class went from unranked yesterday morning to a top 10 class in the nation, number one right now in the Big 12.
That's pretty good. And, they have had success in recruiting in the past, but, I feel like they're at a point right now, and who knows what it would have looked like depending on how they would have finished that run last year. But I think almost the uncertainty, like had they gone in there is a chance they could have been, there could have been a disappointment, or they could have soared and won the national championship for all we know. So hard to tell, what the postseason effect would have been, positive or negative, but certainly the season itself was a positive, a major one. And it just feels like, the respect level for Scott Drew is growing, and it's catching up with really probably where it should have been for a long time now. So that's fantastic for them to get these two guys over the last a couple of days, and we'll see what happens now with some decisions here in a few weeks, because that will tell the tale on a lot of other things.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think they're right now, you can see it, they're drafting off of that, because it takes some time. Like for a guy like Scott Drew, he got in on some big recruits early on, there's some guys, but for the most part, they're not going to be on a lot of the guys that are going to Duke or Kentucky or whatever, and they have been really good at finding developmental guys and bringing them up. And, so now when you've got some top 25, top 50 guys saying, yes, we want to go, a lot of that has to do with the fact that they've just now seen it, and Baylor's cool now.
Yeah.
Scott Drew's cool, so it's one of those things that, I'm going to go play there. Man, they're really good.
And I think it helps, too, that, even though his career didn't pan out the way we thought, like the amount of attention they received for Isaiah Austin and his moment at the NBA draft, right? Like he certainly would have been a guy that that would have been drafted, but that was such a cool moment that he still had that opportunity to get drafted technically and get that time with the commissioner and everything like that. But, one of the, I guess, if you were to make a complaint, if you were really stretching to try to complain about something, you could say, well, maybe they could have more representation in the NBA, but they're starting to get that as well. Like Jared Butler's going to be in the NBA. Macy Ot's going to be in the NBA. Maybe not this year, but eventually. Torian Prince, like the guys have started to stack up a little bit. So, yeah, it's all really kind of coming together. Every direction that you look from, guys going off to the pros, and even if they don't go to the NBA, I mean, they have so many guys overseas having major success and making good money and seeing the world and all of that. So, yeah, they have it cooking right now.
All right, 5:19 is the time. We'll come back and go over some of what we said earlier today. The all Big 12 preseason team came out. I'm going to dig up mine because I kept the one I voted for. I think I even have the one even from last year. Also, Craig gave me this from Ross Dellinger from SI.com, the Power 5 conferences trying to find a standard testing for COVID. Max Olson kind of alluded to that as well earlier today. So we'll come back with that. 5:19. The text line's open, 254-339-1122. 254-339-1122. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr Motors, the people you can count on. A local family dealer run by Baylor Bear alumni. They've got great prices, and they take care of their customers. Anytime you buy a new vehicle from Richard Carr Motors, you not only get the great prices, but you also get free oil changes with your new purchase, plus in-town priority warranty service. And they make it so easy for you. Typically you walk into the showroom, you walk around the lot and do all that, but because of what we're going through right now with COVID, they will bring the test drive to your home. And even if you do go to the dealership, no worries. They have a safety-focused staff. They disinfect the showroom daily. So how about the cars they got for you? Well, how about this deal? Employee pricing all month long for everyone at Richard Carr. You pay what employees pay all month. Save over $7,000 right now on 2020 Acadias. Save $6,000 right now on Terrains. Save $7,000 right now on 2020 Yukons. They've also got the Buick Encores, the crossover SUV, Dream with the quiet ride, roomy interior, safety features, and the latest technology. Only $19,900, a savings of $6,000 on a 2020 Buick Encore. You can get the Cadillac XT4 right now for only $35,900 at Richard Carr. Cadillac, it's got luxury, style, and power all wrapped up into a brand new SUV. And if you want to go bigger, they got the XT4, of course, but they've also got the XT5 and the even roomier 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. Again, get free oil changes with your purchase, in-town priority warranty service, and if you don't want to go to the dealership, they can bring the test drive to your home. Richard Carr Motors are the people you can count on, a local family dealer run by Baylor alumni that wants the chance to earn your business. So stop by that daily disinfected showroom and see their safety-focused staff, or give them a greeting as they bring that test drive to you. Your comfort and safety is Richard Carr's first priority. Find them at Richard Carr, that's KARR.com, or Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape? Every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday, 5 to 10, Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday, 7 to 7. And personal trainers, Christy London and Randall Corley. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna. And now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere. And yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's summer. Time to go somewhere in a new Jeep from Allen Samuels. It's our huge summer clearance event featuring 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days on our hottest models. Pick a new 2020 Jeep Cherokee Latitude with $5,750 in total values or 0% for 72 and no payments for 90 days. Or the fun 2020 Jeep Renegade with up to $7,000 in total values or 0% for 72. Adios 2020s from Allen Samuels.
We're fighting hard at Pickup Outfitters in our battle to end truck nudity. But it's not just about putting an outfit on a naked truck, it's about making sure you have the very best customer service. So we offer the Pickup Outfitters Lifetime Installation Guarantee. Over time, sometimes your outfit needs a little tune-up, maybe some tightening, adjusting, whatever. If you outfitted your truck at Pickup Outfitters, that tune-up is absolutely no charge for the remainder of the time you own that truck. We also offer free warranty assistance. If for any reason you need to use your warranty, you just bring it back to us and we take care of it. It just makes sense. I mean, operating without a promise like that would be like offering customer service in the nude. And if you've seen our staff, trust me, you don't want that. So do your part to end truck nudity by outfitting your truck, Jeep, SUV, or van at Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco, where we promise to serve you fully clothed. Check out our website, createacommotion.com.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on Sikkim365.com.
So I sent a text to Liz Clark, who's a part of this story, the Redskins story on sexual harassment and all the accusations. I just received a direct message from @WashPostPR. Hey, David, can you please email us here with your request for Liz Clark? She is unavailable, but we can find a replacement for you if you're interested.
Oh, that's great.
That's pretty professional, so that's cool.
All right, so tomorrow, by the way, Craig will be out tomorrow and also on Monday. Should we run Earl or Robert Griffin III tomorrow?
That's
we do that on Fridays.
I would say Earl slightly outranks Robert, but Robert's was so, and it's just because, and we've had multiple interviews with both of them over the years, especially you and me, Smokey. But I mean, he was so relaxed and he sounds so happy, and even happier, I'll say, than when he was here at Baylor. Not that he wasn't happy, but you know, when you're the Heisman Trophy winner all of a sudden, there's a lot of pressure that's thrown on you really quickly. And I think he handled it pretty well, but again, it's hard to deal with when you're 21 or 22 years old. And he just sounds so relaxed and happy now. And I hope if, you know, I mean, we probably should run Earl, but people need to go back and listen to Robert again, because it was as happy and relaxed and comfortable in his own skin and everything that I've ever heard him.
Yeah, I don't think that you can really go wrong either way. I mean, the both were really, really good interviews. I went back and transcribed Robert for the premium section. So that's one thing. We've mentioned it before, but if you're not a premium member, and let's say you're somebody who's like, gosh, I can't keep up with interviews, and I don't have time to listen or whatever. We know those quiet moments whenever you get a little bit of time and you just need something to read. kill 20 minutes or something like that. Well, that's what those recaps are super helpful for. So you can go check out Robert Griffin's right now up on the premium section of the site if you're a member of the premium section, which we encourage you to do if you can. But, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong either way. I mean, it's not every day you get to talk to the Tyler Rose, but, gosh, I say flip a coin. You know, that's Earl, though, you know, so part of me is a little bit biased, and it should be interesting tonight because Tyler ISD, you know, they got his input on the changing of the school names of both John Tyler and Robert E. Lee. It was originally a community zeroed in on Robert E. Lee, but enough people said, hey, check the history books. JT was no saint. And so tonight, at some point, they're supposed to be announcing their plans as far as what they're going to do with the names of the schools, which will be very, very interesting. And Earl spoke on that a little bit as well. So, good choice.
That school board meeting is tonight.
Yes.
All right, so there was a picture last night of what's the name of the hospital? It's not Trinity Mother Francis. It's Hibiscus or something.
The Christus.
Christus Mother whatever it's called, Rose Stadium. Earl Campbell Field is the field. But they're tearing up the turf. All right, and so I text their superintendent, Marty Crawford. I went, okay, wait a minute, Marty. You're tearing up the turf, and they're going back to lay another, you know, because that stuff has to be replaced. A lot of times people think field turf and you're done, like the old AstroTurf that was hard in the rock. So I said, this is ironic, or is this the kind of, am I reading more into this, that you're tearing up the field turf and replacing like the white part underneath of it, whatever else? And he goes, no. Now, there will be changes because I believe Tyler ISD's, and I know that we're mainly in Central Texas, but this is a kind of almost a regional story, is that the logo in the middle is Tyler ISD. Mm-hmm. The end zones were red and blue with Lions and
Raiders.
Red Raiders. I don't know if it said Red Raiders. I can't remember that because that's a long. But I was wondering if it said John Tyler or Robert E. Lee, but or Tyler Lee. I don't think it did. I guess it said just the mascot.
Oh no, I just pulled up a picture: Tyler Lee and John Tyler.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's also.
So now they have to put the mascots in the end zone because that's not going to change, right?
Well, wouldn't they repaint that though?
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, unless they.
No, that's not. This field turf is actually. Isn't that sewn in? Isn't that?
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I don't know what.
I don't know what the difference. We need like a professional
like
field
Lions
guy.
And Trojans at Waco ISD. Isn't that part of the turf?
Yeah, someone text us right now 254-339-1122 and let us know if you know about how they do field turf and how they do that.
You do see the pictures of them like spray painting the logos on and changing it up, like when Baylor plays at AT&T Stadium, they have to change the end zones. So I don't know how that works.
I'm not sure how that works, but
I mean, do you have to? I mean, so when they take it off, I mean, what do they do?
I thought they just rolled. I don't know.
Do you just spray it with like a nail polish remover or something? And
well, there's some kind of paint that's used. There's some kind of paint that's used, but then again, I don't know how they take it off, and I don't know if that's only for certain types of fields that you can do that with. But yeah, I just pulled up the picture of Rose Stadium.
Yeah,
and it's John Tyler and Tyler Lee.
So that was just something I thought was interesting. They're peeling his turf up, and they were putting whatever the layer is. It's called like an E layer or something. And I asked Marty, Dr. Crawford, and he said no. But they if it was those two names, and it was, that has to be changed as well. Now, what they might be naming one of the schools, what if they call? They're not going to do Tyler North and Tyler South. They can't do that. That is part of
problem.
The issues that Tyler's had. You know, you're from South Tyler, North Tyler, whatever. Someone in the athletic department said that they thought, and no one confirmed this at all, that it could be Tyler Rose High School.
See, I like that. Yeah. I like that
a lot.
Which
one? Because Earl's the Tyler Rose. It had to be John Tyler, right?
I would say it had to be JT, but I mean, Tyler is the city of roses, so it's not like, I mean, he got that nickname because Tyler is the Rose City.
Now, what about Azalea High School? Because Tyler has this big Azalea district. They have the Azalea season. That's a big deal.
Well, I mean, if they had one that was Rose and one that was Azalea, I mean, I think I don't know it's a common theme.
Azalea High School is unique.
Here's the thing: you had a theme before of Confederate, historical people from the Confederacy,
right?
And now that you're going away from that theme, and rightfully so, maybe you can just do flat. Like, at no point in human history will somebody be like, you know what? I got stuck by a thorn. I'm very offended by roses.
Don't put it past people.
Yeah, this is not. You don't know what roses. I mean, and granted, I'm not trying to belittle the argument about that, but I'm just saying that at no point will that ever hurt people's feelings or offend anybody or be seen as offensive.
The best I could tell from because I care because I went to one of these high schools and I knew plenty of people from John Tyler as well, but I think what the plan was if they were going to change them, they were going to go more so with like patriotic type theme or like like a national symbol of pride type of a thing, which I don't know what all that would entail, but I think if they're smart, they'll probably just avoid people altogether, because you never know what skeletons come out of the closet, and you never know, like, this guy's considered fine right now, but then 20 years from now we discover that he was like some barbarian of some sort. I don't know. So probably just best to avoid people's names and go with something a little bit more.
It will not be a name. I've been told it will not be a human being.
Yeah, you could have Bill Cosby High School, who, 5 years ago, I mean, I've been great. If you told me I was going to Bill Cosby High School, I'd be like, awesome, I love Bill Cosby. What a great dude. Well, nope.
Not anymore. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
That is when you look at the names of what they did as football players at Texas. Earl Campbell and Ricky Williams, the two Heisman Trophy winners. Ricky Williams has not always been flawless. He's also much younger than Earl.
Yeah, but Ricky also, and Ricky's not been flawless, but his flaws are seen differently now through the prism of today.
Or when maybe he was in Tyler and he accused somebody. Remember that?
I remember him having a little incident in Tyler, yeah.
Ricky Williams?
He kind of accused somebody of kind of shadowing him or maybe
he tried
harassing him.
From what I remember, he tried to accuse the police in Tyler of harassing him, and the reason why was because he was like just acting very suspiciously outside of the hotel that he was put up in, and so he said,
was walking around
of
a neighborhood around the hotel.
Yeah, I mean, it was like somebody called the cops to say, hey, there's a guy walking around in like the trees back there, and that's what led them to be called. And then he accused them of, like profiling or whatever.
Which is kind of what we've heard the last 2 or 3 months. Sometimes
And look, I would not be surprised if Ricky Williams was in Tyler and had some of his happy potion and decided that he was going to walk around.
Exactly.
And part of it because Ricky Williams has social anxiety disorder. He, that's part of the reasons he is, into marijuana. I can just tell you a story, and Smokey was there. Craig, I don't know if I've told you this story, but when Ricky Williams got inducted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, we were supposed to have him, and I'm just going to say an arbitrary time at 4:15. So at 4:15, I get up and I go to find his runner, and when I go find him, he goes, hey, he was here just a second ago. I don't know where he is. So we have to skip Ricky Williams. So then he was the last one we had, right, Smokey, that day?
Yeah.
So right before the end of the show, his guy waves at me and says, hey, he's coming back in. He's coming to do the interview. And so I go run out and grab him, and we're walking in, and he's like, hey, and he was relaxed and happy, and he was a fantastic interview. And he comes and sits down and does the interview, and the whole time he had a lollipop in his mouth. And his handler goes,
not a regular.
Yeah, his runner said, listen, I lost him for about 40 minutes here, and then I went out and found him, and he went out and he had a lollipop, and he offered me one. I said, no, thanks. And after he had that lollipop, he's been fine. But all right, well, there it is.
He's just staring at the wall for 30 minutes, but, yeah. No, that was, I mean, like, to your point, Paul, he's not done anything egregious to the point of, like, oh, my gosh, we need to strip his name off of titles and trophies and things like that.
It's also young. There's like you said, there's a nervousness about a name, about somebody especially
they're going to avoid that.
Very young.
Because I would be all for naming John Tyler after Earl. You know what I mean? Like, that would be fine with me, but I know that, they probably want to avoid names entirely, and I don't know what the Robert E. Lee side of that would even be if you were to change it to like Tyler Campbell High, there is a Tyler Campbell, but you know what I'm saying. So I think they're going to go with like something that can't really be messed with in the future in any way, and that won't be offensive to, I mean, I'm sure somebody will find offensive something.
You'd think the colors, the school colors would stay the same. You'd think that the mascots or the names can stay the same, Red Raiders.
I mean, if Red Raiders isn't cool, then that's going to be a problem for Texas Tech and, a problem for Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders and things like that. That's when we get to that really PC point of just being ridiculous. But, Yeah, I'm interested just as a grad to see how that goes. And Earl, getting back to how he started this here, will be a good choice tomorrow if you guys run that. But Robert Griffin will be a good choice tomorrow if you guys run that as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do, but we'll have one of the two. But we'll have that at 5. And I've reached out to the Washington Post about an interview.
Okay, here we go.
On what's going on with that.
Following guidelines for selecting a new name. A school facility may be named after any patriotic belief, principled ideals, values, desire qualities, or aspired outcomes for district students of the community.
So like Liberty High School.
Yeah, like Tyler Freedom High.
Yeah.
A facility may be named after any local state, or National Geographic area, landmark, or physical attribute. I don't know really around there what that would be. A portion of a school facility may be named after a person who serves the district or community directly. Such portions of school facilities, and this is talking about like theaters and gyms and all that. So there you go. I mean, that's kind of, I think it's going to be something like Tyler Liberty and Tyler Freedom High School, something along those lines.
Well, you know, Frisco has Legacy.
They got
Liberty,
Centennial.
Yeah. Al Galdi, by the way, who's a sportscaster in Washington, D.C., does a show with Doc Walker, who I brought it up on Team 980. It was impossible for the Redskins scandal bombshell report to live up to the hype, but that ultimately was in the article was bad enough. It's one thing to suck. It's another thing to suck while also being classless. Here's to Ron Rivera and others in changing both.
He's right.
He probably is about as perfectly summed up about Washington and their football team as you could possibly be.
Well, you know, and I'm sure I don't think the NFL would, I mean, other than the fact that Daniel Snyder is a very wealthy man, the NFL would not, most owners, given as bad as he is for the league, in a huge market, like how bad he's been, they would not care that if he sold the team. I don't know if this is going to bring him down.
So you mean to tell me Jerry Jones didn't know about the White House?
Oh, he knew. Absolutely knew.
So what's the difference?
Jerry's made them a lot more money.
Timing.
Yeah.
And Jerry will continue to make them money, but I don't think that I don't think Daniel Snyder has done enough for the league to get any kind of pass. You know, like Jerry Richardson, that was 2 women.
Yeah.
Jerry Richardson.
Jerry Jones has some redeeming qualities. You know, he may have some that aren't, but as compared to Daniel Snyder, who I feel has none. I mean, what good thing can you say about the guy, honestly? I mean, there's not really a whole lot of great to say about him. I'm not trying to bury him and say that he's the worst person on earth by any means, but he's Jerry Light, and that's even probably too much of a compliment, quite frankly. But that did make me think. Bob Sturm posted this tweet, and I thought I had bookmarked it, but I guess not. But it was talking about annual NFL revenue. Did you guys see this and how much money the Cowboys make? It is ridiculous when compared to the entire rest of the NFL.
They make like $800 million on ticket sales.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it because, okay, here we go. So the revenue from Forbes, number 1 team in total revenue, the Dallas Cowboys, $950 million. The closest to them, who would you guess as far as total revenue goes?
I'm going to say Washington.
They are number 7.
Okay. Because even with their stadium being empty most of the time, they still have a massive amount.
The Patriots.
The Patriots are number 2. They have $600 million. That's $350 million difference between the Cowboys and number 2 Patriots. And you know what the big difference is? That stadium. $621 million of that $950 million comes from team stadium revenue. That $621 million the Cowboys get from team stadium revenue is more than the total revenue of every single other team. Because as I just mentioned, the Patriots have $600 million total. The Cowboys have $621 just off stadium revenue. So, yeah, $350 million more than everybody else, or from the next closest, and $21 million more than the total revenue just off of their stadium. But Cowboys, $950, Patriots, $600, Giants, $519, Texans, $497 million, number 4, and the New York Jets, $475 million in total revenue. Niners, Redskins, Falcons, Eagles, and Packers, the rest of the top 10.
5:42 is the time. Got a text line. TJ said you guys need to run Earl.
Okay.
Also from the text line, the 254, name would be John Tyler, Allen Wilson High School. Of course, John Tyler's out. Allen Wilson, no names. He did a great job, was a massive success at JT. That's not going to work. He then went on to coach at Dallas Carter, won a state championship at Paris, but he's not in the mix either. But it's gonna be like Rose High School, and then maybe Azalea High School, or as you guys mentioned, Freedom or Liberty or whatever. And then you know, if you can't use that, then we're Somalia.
Yeah. I want to point out one interesting thing about this NFL stuff. So who has the worst stadium in the NFL? Don't count the new stadiums that are going to be coming up next year. Like, it's very obvious.
Well, I would say Cincinnati.
No,
they're down there.
Now that the Raiders are leaving.
That's them. I mean, I'm saying not count the new. The Raiders are the dead last in total revenue at $357 million. That's That's more than $600 million less than the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Their stadium revenue brought them $77 million last year.
If you had stopped at $77, I would have believed you.
But that's $600 million a year difference.
Yeah, the Coliseum is the worst stadium I've ever been to for anything.
I've never been there.
It is. I went to an A's game a few years ago, and there were cobwebs on the drink holders, and
the Raiders will shoot. Raiders will shoot way up in next year's rankings with that new Vegas stadium because that thing does look really cool. But the Chargers, $93 million in stadium revenue. They're 31st. Bengals, $99 million. Those are the only three teams with less than $100 million in stadium revenue.
Yeah.
So I just find that interesting.
All right. The 254, what about the JT Patriots? JT has to signify John Tyler. John Tyler's out.
Yeah.
Now, if they're going to change John Tyler, then why is it still the city of Tyler?
Well, now that you can just say, let's name there's this really cool dude here that named Tyler.
Right.
Believe me,
Stephen Tyler Veros.
Yeah.
That's who we named our city after.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's how it trickles down, though.
But that one's probably just going to have to be, But yeah,
no, it's a great point, and I've thought about that too. But at some point, you just have to, we'll just not acknowledge who was that named after. We're just Tyler, Texas, and not so much.
It's a very unique name too of a city, but I'm just as another example.
Yeah, you're right though.
With this cancel culture of eliminating anything that ever happened in our lifetime,
it is pretty funny. Now, granted, John Tyler was president when Texas and all that was going on, so I get why somebody would name their city, but to name your city after one of the worst presidents.
I know. I never understood that.
you know why John Tyler, by the way, I didn't know that. I didn't know much about him. Craig had to tell me much about him. I just knew them as a football program. That's what I covered for many years. He was in recognition for his support admitting Texas to the United States.
Yeah, that was a big part of the reason.
That's why. But that was kind of a no-brainer when, you had American people who, essentially, came here and settled and then violated the treaty that they'd signed and took it for the American settlers. Once you win at war, you got to bring them in. It's kind of a no-brainer. You've got all this cool free land now. They want to be there. That's not something that you would say, nah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's not like the guy was an evil person, I would say. He did have, kind of like we're talking about Daniel Snyder. John Tyler had some redeeming qualities. Like in his fight for when the country was starting to tear apart, he was actually trying to keep the country together. And the problem with that is just that he was trying to do that but still maintain slavery in the South. It's not like he was trying to do away with it entirely and bring everybody together like, Lincoln, or I guess the Civil War eventually, led to us doing that. But he was not anti-slavery. He was pro-slavery. And once his presidency ran out, he did join the Confederacy and was going to, serve as, I forget the role now, but he died before he could actually fill the seat. But he was going to be like a government official for the Confederates. And so, he had good intentions, I think, but still not all the way, obviously, if you look back on history with the benefit of hindsight.
All right, well, they'll make those changes tonight. There's two new schools, the UIL. Think about all these high school magazines, all the things that go with that, all the jerseys and all that. Yeah. All right, it's July 16th. It's 5:47. We come back and wrap up. What would be this, 15?
74.
74 episodes. Bob Lilly.
Yes, this is the Bob Lilly episode.
This is Sick on 365 Radio.
Dr. Kent Petty wants you to be the highest performance man you want to be. Are you sluggish, lack energy? Do you suffer from low sex drive? Petty Clinic Low T offers discounted comprehensive lab work to check on your various levels that can make a difference. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy and stamina and improved sex drive, but also the healthiest and high performance man. Screening for cardiac heart disease risk, EKG, cholesterol panel, blood pressure monitoring, testosterone or growth hormone deficiency, male infertility, hepatitis C, and prostate cancer screening. Petty Clinic Low T offers replacement therapy for testosterone or growth hormones, weight management therapy, and nutritional advice. It's not only time for you to be the man you want to be with higher energy, stamina, and improved sex drive, but the healthiest and highest performance man. PettyClinicLowT.com, PettyClinicLowT.com on Old Hewitt Road, just off Highway 84 in Woodway. PettyClinicLowT.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction with a team of 24 experienced agents who are excited about serving you. Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home. How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, French oak, rye, and brimstone. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. The Sikkim 365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
John Hannah's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. I reached out to him a couple of weeks ago. Alabama, played with the Patriots. I don't know if it was in Atlanta when he dropped by Radio Row one day, but I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, hey, I'm going to be out the next couple of weeks. It's baling hay season. I was like, okay. He has a farm, and so I said, okay. He said, text me on Thursday the 16th. He gave me, or 2 Thursdays from now. So I just sent him a text. He goes, I just got in from baling hay. Call me Saturday. That's cool.
Baling hay.
It's a big old country boy right there.
You want to talk about something I will never do in my whole life because it would probably send me to the hospital is baling hay. not the physicality of it. I'm as allergic to hay as you could possibly be to something, which is why I used to have to, back in the day, we used to have to do shows at the Heart of Texas Fair and Rodeo, and nothing against the fair and rodeo, but I hated being there because at any fair or rodeo, there's just hay everywhere.
There's a smell there.
There's hay all over the place.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
I had to take like 11 Zyrtec.
All right, couple of other notes to close it out today. Appreciate Michael Johnson for starting us today, the great Olympian and now businessman from Baylor. Ezekiel Elliott got a little sensitive today. I guess it's because the league's top 10 list came out, and I don't know if it's because of Madden or whatever. So he does. This is 8:20 this morning. Check the stats. Since I entered this league, I have dominated year in and year out. Put some respect on my name. There are a lot of great backs in this league, but I don't understand why the media has to talk down on my game just to uplift other backs. We're all talented football players and can ball. I didn't see anybody in the media downplaying Ezekiel Elliott. In fact, he's ranked 4th in the Madden rankings.
Well, he's 92. Maybe that's why he's...
And then a lot of people popped back at him and showed a picture of Emmett with 3 rings, and that guy. But I do appreciate the standard you guys hold me to, though. But I promise you, no one holds me to a higher standard than myself. Now, today, SI.com, no, USA Today, the top revenue-based college athletic departments. Texas, $223 million. They spend $204 million. A&M, $212 million. They spend $169 million. They have a slightly bigger net there.
Shouldn't that be like the ranking, though? It's like what you actually take home?
Well, they have the total revenue. Then the total revenue is Texas, A&M, and then Ohio State, all at $210,000 or more.
Right,
Ohio State has a $10 million deficit.
Right, that's what I'm saying is that's great you spend the most money or you bring in the most money, but what I would care about is if you've lost $10 million, Ohio State, then I don't think you should be number 3 on a list bragging about, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so let me do this then, all right? Here's interesting. Oh, let's see here. Total expenses.
Go through the list. I'm just saying that in the interest of it's just kind of deceiving in a way. Because,
it's hard for me to do that because it's got total allocated with Texas and A&M. I don't think they do any allocation. I think that's all. That's I'm not sure. Well, it's cut off.
No, you can go through that list. I'm just saying that it looks great that you bring in all this money, but if you're spending 85% of it,
I think everybody is.
Then it's not as impressive as somebody who's.
Let's go to number 20, just random.
Okay.
Arkansas, $137 million. They spent $129.
So
Baylor's not included a private school, but I remember even when Ian McCaw was here back in the early part of this decade or the last decade. Somewhere in the middle of all that, and this is before all hell broke loose, he was mentioning that their budget was like 80-some million. 80-some million would be, let's say it's now 90.
Yeah.
If it is. And they don't have to release those figures. The top 50, there are 47 schools that spend $90 million or have $90 million of revenue or more. At Kansas State, for example, is at 89. I would think Baylor now is probably higher than that, probably in the early maybe Mac can, I don't know if he'll admit that to us or not next week. Like here's one, just like, for example, Hawaii. They bring in $48 million, but they have expenses of $51 million. I don't understand what total allocated means because some have 0 next to it. I wonder if that's like they allocate it to the school, to like the actual university. Or how much of it. The worst deficits that I see are the minus allocation. Let's see here. Maryland brings in $108,796,000, and they spend all but $11,000.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what's interesting.
That end of your meeting, like, guys.
Because
we
always
got $11,000 left over.
Somebody's per diem was not really good.
We always hear like, "Oh, this school brings in all this money," but like if they're spending all of it, then it doesn't
Texas
matter.
does have a clear of $19 million. A&M's clear is $43 million. Ohio State again has a deficit. Michigan $7 million. Georgia $31 million. Penn State $4 million. Alabama looks like they have a negative.
Well, yeah, they spent so much.
Oklahoma $6 million in the positive. Florida $18 million in the positive. LSU, but that's just the number. But and a lot of it, of course, is that you look at the sizes of the schools, the biggest stadiums in America, right?
Yeah.
Ohio State, Tennessee, Michigan,
100,000,
A&M,
100,000, 100,000, 100,000.
Penn State, and I don't see.
Texas is what, like 85 or something, or are they all the way up to 100,000?
No, I think they're close to about. They're in that neighborhood now too. So that also has a lot to do. Georgia, I don't know what Georgia's probably close to 90. Maybe they're not.
I think OU's like 85-ish.
Alabama's in that neighborhood. Oklahoma's in that neighborhood. But yeah, I mean they're all the biggest stadiums. I don't see Penn State though.
Yeah, you just mentioned them a second ago.
Oh, that's right. They're 6th. Where's Tennessee? They have Tennessee 16th. They got that monstrous stadium in Knoxville.
That's a Blue Bloods list if there ever was one, by the way.
Oh yeah.
There's not a Boise State on that
list.
list.
Texas A&M, Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Penn State, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, LSU.
Yeah.
And then I can keep going. Michigan has to be the largest in the Big Ten, right? The stadium. Penn State or Michigan, one of those two.
Yeah,
I think they Ohio State. Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm trying. I think Michigan has the most, but I'm not sure. They've fluctuated since I last kind of memorized numbers like that.
All right,
in college football.
Couple of the quick notes locally again. Terrell Bernard, the only first-team All Big 12 preseason media pick at linebacker. Tyquan Thornton, a part of the Biletnikoff Awards list. Jimmy Walker finished 200 today at the Memorial. He said, I think he's like in the top 15 or so. He was at one point, I think, at 4 or 5 under.
Tony Finau's leading right now.
And then also today, the commitment, Jeremy Shohan from commits to Scott Drew and Baylor, 6'8", 225-pound, what appears to be probably a power forward.
Yeah, a great pickup for them. There's coverage galore over at Sikkim365.com for you to check out. Just everything you can imagine, all the information that you will need on him, and even going back to the commitment yesterday as well, and just all the news from this week. But just for the sake of kind of putting a bow on the stadium talk, Michigan Stadium, 107,420 is the largest in the entire country, pro, college, whatever. Penn State, 106,572. Kyle Field, 102,733 is third. Ohio State just slightly, actually they have listed as 50 more, but somehow they're below them. Then Tennessee, 102,455. And then you got UT at 8 at 95,594. Rose Bowl and AT&T Stadium are between them and Tennessee. So there you go.
There you go.